Started in 1926 and grew into college football's greatest national rivalry. The appeal of Southern Cal and Notre Dame spread across our country at that time like the Great Railroad. It was a series where you endured fatiguing 4-day journeys by train to play before audiences in excess of 100,000. Coaches Howard Jones and Newt Rockne got it underway. An endless array of talent has kept it going. Heisman Trophy winners like Leon Hart, the Golden Boy, Paul Hornung, and football heroes like feisty Mike Garrett and Frank Gifford. They all knew to play in this game was an honor, but to win was a memory to be treasured forever. This rivalry has never been ugly or vicious, only noble. The reverence and power it emits is unequaled in college football. Today, that tradition continues. CBS Sports presents autumn's other classic. It's Southern Cal and Notre Dame coming up next. The #1 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking the field at the house that Rockne built. They possess the longest win streak in the country at 18 games in a row. We said this rivalry has never been ugly or vicious, perhaps until today, because 25 minutes ago, as the teams left the field for final preparations, emotions erupted. This was a replay of a scene here last year prior to the Miami game. Intensity and pride at a pinnacle here at Notre Dame. And we witnessed a release of mutual anger that will resume on the playing field in just a few moments. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to South Bend, Indiana. I'm Jim Nance along with Pat Hayden. Pat, let's get right down to it. What are the keys today for the USC Trojans?
Well, I think these teams are really evenly matched, so I think this is going to be a difference of a couple of big plays. And for USC, it's Todd Marinovich, their freshman quarterback. Surprisingly, he will be the difference in this game for Southern Cal. They're going to throw the football, and if he gets off and reads the coverage early against a real experienced defensive secondary, Southern Cal has a chance.
Well, we mentioned streaks. Notre Dame has won 18 in a row. They also have the longest win streak in this rivalry. They've beaten USC the last 6 years. What about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish today?
Well, Notre Dame has the best kick returner in the land. That's Rocket Ismail, and he's a guy the Trojans are very concerned about. Now, Larry Smith said that they will punt the ball to him. They'll kick the ball high, but he is challenging his team. He said, we're going to go down and challenge Rocket Ismail, and this is a game of challenges, Jim.
Southern Cal, ranked #9 in the country, opened its season with a 1-point loss to Illinois, but has come back and mounted 5 consecutive victories since that time. And in that time, Marinovich has been impressive. Cloudy skies starting to clear after winter-like conditions this week in South Bend.
And Jim, weather will very much be a factor, particularly the wind. We were just talking about the wind. I was down on the field earlier before the game talking to the kickers and punters, and the wind is very much a factor.
It snowed here on Thursday and Friday, about 6 inches worth, and some rain overnight helped wash away the snow. We've returned to autumn. And now Larry Smith returns to South Bend. This is his 3rd trip here. He brought Arizona to Notre Dame Stadium in 1982, and his Wildcats won that day 16-13. 1987, Rodney Pete's junior year, the Irish were victorious 26-15. Of course, last year, many will recall, at the Coliseum, it was 1-2. Notre Dame ranked 1. USC was ranked 2. But the Trojans came in after a very intense matchup the week before against UCLA. Notre Dame won that 88 showdown 27-10. Quinn Rodriguez kicks for USC. Driving kick headed for the sidelines and out of bounds. The flag falls.
Well, even when you don't kick the ball to Ismail, he is always a factor. You're always trying to kick it away from him or kick it high or squib kick it. And what that means is that Notre Dame generally gets good field position. They play on a short field. They're going to get the ball generally around the 30, 35, 40-yard line.
Pat, we mentioned that last year's score was 27-10 Notre Dame. USC won the battle of the stats. but the turnovers were really key in this one. Only 8 first downs for the Irish, but they won convincingly.
None of those stats make a difference. Notre Dame came up with all the big plays. Starting out with that man right there, caught a long pass on the first scrimmage play for Notre Dame. But Notre Dame had all the big plays last year, and this game has always been a game of big plays.
Ismail ran 2 kicks back against Michigan this year, returned a punt last week for a touchdown against Air Force. Backing him up to the 30-yard line, USC, and Quinn Rodriguez will kick again with Ismail standing at the 10. Kicks it high, not much on it. Ismail at the 24. Up the middle. Fumbled the football. Fumbled the football at the 40, and the signal is USC has recovered. A fumble on the opening kickoff, and the Trojans have the football at the Notre Dame 40.
We talked about the field position you ordinarily get. He receives this one on the 25-yard line. It's secured there, but Larry Smith said he was going to challenge his coverage teams. They met the challenge there, and there was the ball. It came loose, and the thing was number 56, Brian Talio, who made the recovery.
So USC comes out and gets a turnover right away. Todd Marinovich, the quarterback. You see his touchdowns, 8 to only 3 interceptions. He'll throw right away. Intended for the tight end Galbraith, who was well covered. Ned Bolkar on the coverage. Bob Dahl put some pressure on Todd Marinovich, a redshirt freshman quarterback. He's joined in the backfield by Leroy Holt, coming off a big performance against Cal, and Ricky Irvins. The receivers, John Jackson, the all-time receiver at Southern Cal, and Gary Wellman. Wellman will shuttle the plays in with Larry Wallace. 3 receivers set on 2nd and 10. Joel Scott is the extra receiver for USC. Jackson goes in motion. Marinovich complete to Jackson. Pivots and makes a move to pick up the first down at the 29-yard line of Notre Dame.
Southern Cal feels to win this football game, they're going to have to change it up and come out throwing the football. They're going to face a very formidable defense in this Fighting Irish. Zorich, I think, the best nose tackle in all of college football.
He is joined on that defensive front by Bob Dahl and 6'7" Jeff All. The linebackers, Ned Bolkar, 2-time captain here at Notre Dame, and Don Grimm. Scott Kowalkowski and Andre Jones are the outside backers. 1st and 10, USC. Irvins slashing his way for 6. Ned Bolkar tripped him up. Ball's at the 23-yard line. USC offensive line at center, Brad Liggett. Leggett is flanked by Parkinson and Tucker. Pat Harlow and Bill Schultz are the tackles. Tight end is Scott Galbraith. Call it 2nd down and 4 for USC. Double tight end, Frank Griffin in as the extra tight end with Galbraith. Running play with Holt. Holt steamrolls to the 20 and is a yard short of the first down. Let's get a report on the sidelines today. We bring in our colleague John Dockery. John?
Jim, few times in my athletic career I've ever seen a locker room. I was in the locker room with USC, supercharged the way this one was. Number 39, Leroy Holt, got up and talked about getting no respect from Notre Dame, being sick and tired of it all. And the seniors having never won, these guys are ready to play. I've never seen anything like it. Back to you, Jim.
All right, you talked about Leroy Holt. He's their short yardage man on 3rd and 1 from the 20. They'll pass for it for Irvins. He has to the first down and is out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Popped out by Kowalkowski, Terrell, and Francisco.
You know, Jim, talking to Marinovich yesterday, he thought it was really important for SC to score early and take this crowd out of the game, because this could be a tough place to win. And he said, I want to come out of this tunnel, get the ball, and score early.
USC scored on its opening possession 2 years ago and then saw Notre Dame roll off 26 unanswered points. But it's a different chemistry now with Todd Marinovich, the quarterback. 1st and 10, USC. Post pattern, incomplete, intended for Larry Wallace.
Had him open. Larry Wallace on the post pattern, and Marinovich just led him a little bit too much. A year ago, this Notre Dame defense had great success blitzing Rodney Peete. It was a real surprise. It caught Southern Cal and Larry Smith off guard. Southern Cal has come into this game with a whole new blitz package because of that loss a year ago.
Defensive backs going against Marinovich. Todd Light has 5 interceptions this year. Smagala ran one back last year for a touchdown. Francisco and Terrell and the safeties. 2nd down and 10. Marinovich to Galbraith. He can't hold on at the 10. So it's 3rd down and 10 for USC from the 13 of Notre Dame.
And the last 2 plays, the inside linebackers, Grimm and Bolkar, number 47, have blitzed. But the offensive linemen and the backs picked up the blitz and gave Marinovich plenty of time, but it was good coverage on the tight end Galbraith there.
Leroy Holt staying in there and picking up the blitz. The Bolkar. 3rd and 10. Marinovich. Wallace, touchdown USC. 12-yard touchdown. 2 minutes and 13 seconds into this game. That's a similar route they went to 2 plays before.
And it was wide open earlier, and they came right back to it. And again, Larry Wallace beat the man in the post pattern.
John Jackson will hold for Rodriguez. Perfect 24 of 24 on extra points this year. It's 7-0 USC. Those of you just joining us, 9th ranked USC and number 1 Notre Dame. Jim Nance along with Pat Hayden and John Dockery. We are 2 minutes and 13 seconds into this contest, and USC has just scored. Notre Dame received the opening kickoff, and Raghib Ismail fumbled the opening kickoff. The ball was jarred loose at the 40. Todd Marinovich, the quarterback for the Trojans, then marched his team 8 plays, 40 yards, and a touchdown pass moments ago to Larry Wallace. Alabama won that game 47-30 over Tennessee.
And Jim, here is the touchdown that Marinovich threw to Wallace. 2 plays earlier, they had thrown this same pattern. The blitz inside picked up well the post pattern. He was open on both plays. The earlier he let him too much. That ball was well thrown, and I think you have to be a tall quarterback to be able to throw this pass. It's a short post pattern. He is 6'4". He gets the ball all over the tall hands. Watch the protection here. Number 75, Tucker, is right there. The ball is well thrown. He led the receiver, and then the emotion of the freshman quarterback, Marinovich.
He's a big kid, 6'4", and you said all week he was born to play in this game.
Well, in 1962, his father played against the Fighting Irish, beat them 25-0. His uncle, Craig Fertig, in 1964 was a quarterback who led them to a win over the number 1 ranked Fighting Irish.
Here's the kick. Ismail again. He's got a hole. Ismail was out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Stephon Pace was the last man. He bumped him out after a 57-yard return.
Ismail is amazing, and what he doesn't waste any time. Every good kick returner just takes off and doesn't dance around in the hole. Picks up a couple of blocks. Bellis, number 8, gave him a nice block. Eilers, number 13, gave him a block. He outruns the kicker, and then only number 19, Pace, who made the stop. But watch the hole on the right side. What Notre Dame does, Jim, is put their 10 best blockers on their kickoff return team.
So the first play from scrimmage for number 1 Notre Dame. Waters and Johnson in the backfield. Rice keeps it. Rice gets to the 31-yard line, a gain of 8. Let's meet Notre Dame. Tony Rice, the senior quarterback. Joined in the backfield by Anthony Johnson, who has scored 10 touchdowns this year, and Ricky Waters. Eilers and Ismail are the receivers. Tony Rice last year broke one 65 yards. It's the first score of the game against Southern Cal for a touchdown. Second and short. Anthony Johnson has the first down and rumbles to the 25-yard line. Mark Carrier, Delmar Chesley made the tackle. Up front for Southern Cal, Dan Owens is the nose tackle. Tim Ryan, Randy Hoard are on that line. Linebackers Scott Ross and Delmar Chesley. Michael Williams and Junior Seau. A great one for the other linebackers. First and 10 for Lou Holtz and Notre Dame. Running the option. Rice keeps again. Into secondary and down to the 17-yard line. Another gain of 8. Mark Carrier cut him under.
What Lou Holtz likes to do early in every ball game is just feel out the defense. First he lines up and sees how he's going to get deep at some point in the game. Then he sees how he's going to defend the option, and then formations, and then some wishbone. And if you can't defend any of those, he'll keep coming back to it.
Notre Dame's offensive line, Mike Helt is the center. A pair of Tims at guard. Tim Ryan, Tim Grunhard. And the tackles, Mike Brennan, Dean Brown. Derek Brown is the tight end, sophomore from Florida. Tim Ryan on the offensive line for Notre Dame, and a Tim Ryan at defensive tackle for USC. Second, we'll call it 3. Johnson, as he does so often, bulldozes his way for the first down. The opening kick, Pat. USC kicked to Ismail.
And they kicked it very high. He caught the ball on about the 25-yard line. He was hit there, and Larry Smith, the head coach, had challenged his return teams against Ismail and said they were going to defend against him. But here is the touchdown, the post pattern to number 82, Larry Wallace. Good protection. The tall quarterback at 6'4" is able to get the ball over the outstretched arms of the Irish defense.
Tulio had made the fumble recovery. It's 7-0 USC. Notre Dame threatening. First and 10. Ismail running from the tailback spot. Gets to the 11. USC always traditionally great in the backfield. It's defensive backfield. And they today bring out Dwayne Garner, Ernest Spears, and a pair of safeties, Cleveland Coulter and Mark Carrier.
And it's going to be really like a one-on-one game between Mark Carrier and the quarterback, Tony Rice. He has a responsibility in the option plays to go to the quarterback to the pitch man. So Carrier versus Rice.
Tony Smith at the bottom of your screen. Ismail in a slot left. Waters back at tailback. 2nd and 7 for Notre Dame. Option left. Rice keeps, pitches late. Waters has it and gets to the 6-yard line. Call it the 7. Last second pitch by Tony Rice.
There's a lot of different ways that Tony Rice can beat you. Some people say he doesn't throw the ball with great accuracy, but his plays like this, what really should have been a negative play, a 4-yard loss. He breaks right through the tackle and then makes a late pitch to Ricky Waters. There was only a hustling play there by Chesley, number 53, that prevented the touchdown, but that's a great play there by Tony Rice.
That pitch went right past the extended arm of Michael Williams. It's 3rd down for the Irish. Inside of the 10. Rice still has it. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Just a little more than 3 minutes to counter USC's touchdown. Hendrick can tie it with the extra point. 7-7 with 9 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first quarter.
Jim, the sign of a good football team is a team that overcomes some adversity. Notre Dame had fumbled on the opening kickoff. USC scored, but they came right back on their first possession. Good penetration there. Tony Rice again took the ball away from the fullback, and then it was just determined, just fought his way into the end zone. And then the emotion of head coach Lou Holtz. He knows how important this game is.
We saw the emotions that erupted prior to this game. And now we've really just started. And it's already 7-7. USC and Notre Dame. Let's take another look at the Tony Rice touchdown.
The eyes of Tony Rice this time. He saw the pressure there by the outside linebacker, Sayal, number 55. He took the ball right out of the fullback's stomach, and then the power, the strength, and the determination. That's what makes Tony Rice have won 18 games in a row, he and his team.
That's the first rushing touchdown this year allowed by USC as Hendrick's kick goes out of bounds. Todd Marinovich, we spoke with him yesterday. He wanted to come out here and have success quickly to try to quiet this capacity crowd.
Quieting that crowd as soon as I can. That's the most fun thing about playing away, is everyone's all fired up at kickoff and going in and marching right down the field and scoring. You can hear a pin drop, and that's what I want to hear after we get the ball.
Well, he was 3 for 6 on that opening possession, including the touchdown pass.
It's really amazing as a freshman. You talk to the Southern Cal coaches this week. Here is a guy starting his first Southern Cal Notre Dame game, and yet they are counting, actually counting on him winning this game for them. Tall task for a young man.
Ever since a victory in the 4th game of the season against Washington State, he has played with extreme confidence. He has not thrown an interception in his last 93 passes.
You know, the Southern Cal coaches did a nice job, Jim, of bringing him along slowly. In their first game against Illinois, they didn't ask much of him, but as each week has gone on, they've asked more and more of Marinovich as he's thrown the ball downfield.
Back-to-back huge wins by the Texas Longhorns. Coach David McWilliams, he was getting some heat down in Austin, and that certainly will cool things off after a victory last week against Oklahoma, and now today handing Arkansas its first loss of the year. Texas football back. Here's the return. It's Bruce Luisi, backup tailback, returning it to the 37-yard line. Let's get another report from John Dockery, and this about the fight prior to the game. John?
Jim, let me tell you exactly what happened. Notre Dame lined up after the warm-up along the goal line here. USC was running off the field, and they challenged USC to go around them. Of course, players in their frame of mind before the game wouldn't do that. It became a challenge. USC couldn't get directly to the tunnel. Pushing and shoving broke out, and then some players went down. They were kicked. There were blows thrown. Actually, Lou Holtz was hit and went to the ground, too. I'll have more in a minute, Jim.
All right, Doc. 1st and 10. Marinovich rolling and throwing. Jackson threw his hands, and Todd Light saw the end zone for a moment. From 1-1. Number 1, John Jackson off his fingertips. Todd Light, number 1, almost raced it back.
Todd Light, number 1, has had a sensational year thus far with the 5 interceptions. He's got great confidence as he plays the wide side of the field. Number 1, Todd Light, always plays to the field, and he's great at reading patterns. You see where his head is? His eyes are looking right inside of the cornerback. He reads the pattern and steps up to make the play.
2nd down and 10. Holt, the lone setback. Marinovich going long. And over the head of John Jackson. Matt Terrell was in the secondary on him. USC is 2-4 against Notre Dame when the Irish have been ranked number 1. 25 years ago, Pat, you spoke about it earlier, Craig Furtick in the final 2 minutes threw a touchdown pass to Rod Sherman as USC came back from 17-0 to win over number 1 Notre Dame. That's 25 years ago. 3rd and 10. Kowalkowski races him out of there. Irvins Irvin's changing direction and might be a yard short of the first. They bill him as a slashy, gutsy type runner, and he made some great moves to get near the first down.
When you run a screen pass, you want to drop back, but I think Marinovich really gave this screen away by dropping back a little bit too far. He's scrambling back, and all of a sudden, I think the defense felt the screen a little bit earlier than they ordinarily would, but Ricky Irvin did a great job of making a lot of guys miss.
Now they spot it at the 45. It's 4th and 2. Mark Preston will punt for USC. They use 2 punters. Ismail is back deep. It's a short punt. Ismail fumbles, and it's caught in the air. Caught in the air by USC's Junior Seau. There is a flag down near midfield. The recovery near the 15. A knee went down.
And Jim, I got to tell you, there is a lot of wind out there, and that is what happened. The ball is swirling around. I was talking to kickers and punt receivers before the game. The holding call against Notre Dame.
It'll be USC football at the 15-yard line.
Now, Ismail returned a punt for a touchdown last week, but that was just misjudged. It was misjudged because the ball was swirling. It hit his shoulder pads, and then Junior Seau was there to make the play. Again, Larry Smith all week long has stressed coverage on kickoffs and punt returns against Raghib Ismail.
That's 2 turnovers by the Rocket here in the first quarter. The first one had really nothing to do with the wind. This one was a judgment error with the wind.
And remember that the game a year ago, really the difference was the 4 turnovers by Southern Cal. And thus far, Notre Dame has 2 in the first period.
Wellman to the right, Jackson to the left. 1st and 10 USC. Marinovich looking Jackson's way. Now will throw short. Really just dumping it off, getting rid of it. Jackson was in the area. Bob Dole putting pressure on Marinovich.
Marinovich plays with a nonchalance of a much older player. He is only a freshman. You're not going to see him take many sacks, and he does not throw interceptions. That's really ordinarily the sign of a much older player.
We're talking about that big win against Washington State. He came back, and the Gipper, Ronald Reagan, made a phone call to him and said that was one of the most exciting comebacks I've ever seen. 18-17 victory. Marinovich throwing for a 2-point conversion in the final seconds. Here he goes to Jackson. Jackson slashes in for the touchdown for USC. Second touchdown pass of the quarter for Todd Marinovich. This one covering 15 yards. We're midway through the opening quarter, and it's already 13-7, 3 touchdowns. Rodriguez will attempt the extra point for the Trojans. And the men of Troy lead it 14-7.
Jimmy, I think left-handed quarterbacks can sometimes fool you. They look like they're lobbing the ball and lobbing the ball. The next thing you know, you look up and the receiver has the ball right in front of you. This ball is a frozen rope. He gets it over the tall hands, and then Jackson does a nice job of not dancing around. He goes right to the goal line, split the seam between Lott and Terrell. Light until as he got into the end zone to make it 14-7.
Matic, John Jackson, the all-time receiver at USC. He has dedicated this season to his grandmother, Elizabeth Jackson. She passed away in August. He has a towel. Towel is on his front side. It says EJ. That's for his grandmother. And he said he wanted to score a touchdown today in her memory.
I give thanks to the Lord because I know through him all the things are possible, and everything that I achieve is given to me from him. So when I cross the goal line, I give thanks to the Lord and think of my grandmother.
Boy, I tell you, he did a great job of just getting the ball into the end zone in between the 2 defenders there, Jim. He didn't dance around, didn't waste any time, just took the ball upfield. A remarkable young man, an academic All-American, plays baseball on the Southern Cal baseball team. And
leading hitter on the baseball team for USC. He graduated, John Jackson, in May with a 3.3 grade point average, taking courses toward an MBA.
Jim, USC has kicked the ball off twice already this game, and both times it has been eventful. On the first kickoff, Ismail fumbled the ball. On the second kickoff, it was a short kick, and it brought it back about 57 yards.
Well, the wind is gusting. And a hold for Rodriguez. He just lines it, drives it out of bounds, never touched. So it'll be a 5-yard penalty. We've got an update. Big day for the Texas Longhorns. With more on that, let's take it back to Greg Gumbel.
Well, Jim, the happy face on the man going up belongs to David McWilliams, the head coach of the Texas Longhorns, who are now in charge in the Southwest Conference at 3-0 after upsetting 7th-ranked Arkansas today. You can recall last week the Longhorns knocked off the Oklahoma Sooners. Let's go back to South Bend.
You know, if you take it back 1 week prior to that, Texas struggled at home against Rice. Beat the Owls only 31-30, but have come back with 2 huge victories.
I think Texas is actually going to be a team next year as well, Jim. It's going to be strong. It is a young team that David McWilliams is trying to groom for next year's Southwest Conference race as well.
I believe he has only 12 seniors on his 90-man roster. Marcus Hopkins will hold the ball on the tee for Rodriguez. Ismail is standing at the 14-yard line. Midway, first quarter, 14-7 Trojans. Another kick going toward the sidelines. Culver catches it, but falls down to the 27. Rodney Culver. Next week on CBS Sports, we'll follow the Crimson Tide on its journey to State College, Pennsylvania. Take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State opened its year with a loss against Virginia, but has come back with 5 straight victories. A similar script to USC with the opening loss to Illinois, but the Trojans have since mounted 5 wins as well. 1st and 10. Notre Dame, 3 receivers. Waters lining up as a receiver, but Rice looks instead for Derek Brown, and it's batted down. That was the first pass by Rice. Chesley batted it down, intended for Derek Brown.
So, Jim, I think Chesley might have intercepted that ball, but I believe it was Junior Seau who tipped the ball away from him. It looked like it might have been tipped.
William Pollard has come in for the Irish. He's number 82. 2nd down and 10. Only one other team has had a lead this year on the Irish. That was Stanford. 6-0. Rice looking for Pollard and overthrown at the 47-yard line. Double coverage, Spears and Carrier. Ernest Spears and Mark Carrier.
Ernest Spears, number 3, did a very nice job of covering number 82 Pollard underneath. Spears, number 3, is their corner, who's a physical guy, has the speed to play it deep, but is a tough physical guy who can come up and support on the run, make plays on tackles.
3rd and 10. Eilers and Ismail, the receivers. Rice tuck it in and will go out of bounds. Michael Williams pushed him out. Notre Dame will punt.
And they will punt into a very brisk wind, Jim.
Craig Hendrick is the Notre Dame punter and place kicker. He won the job in the early weeks of the season, and he's only a freshman. Hendrick out of Godfrey, Illinois. First team high school All-America last year. That is Wallace standing back for the return. Snap back from Brunhard. Hendrick gets a good one away. Wallace will let it bounce. He retreats, and the ball rests at the 24-yard line. The Trojans leading over the Irish, ranked number 1, 14-7 in the first. USC 14-7. You know, for the second time in less than a month, we've seen the devastation and loss brought about by a natural disaster. This week, our hearts go out to the people of Northern California. We have watched and shared in your ordeal, and we know that a staggering amount of work lies ahead in order to restore life to normal. Fortunately, many fine agencies are actively providing relief and assistance. Should you at home care to help, may we suggest that you check your local newspapers for the appropriate support agency in your area. We've been following that miraculous story today with Leslie Stahl and CBS News. You know, we sometimes loosely use the word miraculous or miracle in sports. That should never be confused with what we saw today coming out of Oakland. Truly a miracle. On 1st and 10, Holt for 2. Let's get more now on what happened before the game. Let's go back to John Dockery.
You know, Jim, USC's been playing with an incredible amount of emotion. Part of that emotion was unleashed before the game in that big pre-game brawl. Shades of Miami last year, only this was more serious. It lasted a couple of minutes, and what precipitated it? Well, like last year against Miami, Notre Dame lined up in the end zone as USC was coming off the field. They blocked their entrance to the locker room. The USC players didn't like it. They started bumping one another, and then a full-scale brawl broke out. Punches were thrown, players were on the bleachers. Lou Holtz was hit and went down. He's okay. So this was a... Oh, yes, Jim. Do you have a question for me?
I was going to say, Doc, you were right down in the middle of this one, though, weren't you?
I was right behind it and witnessed it, and half of the USC team had gone into the locker room. They came back out of the locker room to help their teammates. Security cards came out. One security policeman from L.A. was hit in the eye. He had an ice pack on it. Another was hit in the mouth. In the locker room, Larry Smith was concerned. He did not want to be in the tunnel before the game with Notre Dame. He asked to come out separately, as he did. That's part of the reason I think you see USC with this much emotion today. They feel they don't get respect from Notre Dame when they come here. Jim?
All right, Doc. It's 2nd down and 8. Marinovich complete. And a helmet flies. Galbraith holds on. Doc was talking about respect, but you talk to the players and people associated with this game. This series has really been one treated with reverence through the years. It has not been a heated or hatred between the schools, but we really saw it erupt today. Uncharacteristic at that.
I really believe it is, because I think there's great respect for both institutions and both football teams.
3rd down. 3rd down and 4. Pitch. Irvins. 1st down USC to the 42-yard line. A gain of 12. Smagala made the tackle.
You know, a clever call there by Southern Cal. They will not run many option plays, maybe 5 or 6 during the course of the game. But this one fooled the Notre Dame defense. In a 3rd and short situation, there's nobody there on the pitch man. Marinovich gets hit. You don't think of a big, tall quarterback as a great option quarterback, and he's not going to really beat you with his feet, but he can beat you with his mind, as he did right there as he flipped the ball outside to Ricky Irvins.
Talking about respect, Irvins said this week, I don't feel I get much respect as a tailback. What do you think of him, Pat?
Well, he's a very tough inside runner. As you see him bounce here off tackle. And what he does, Jim, for about a 3 or 4 yard gain, he finds a little crease, finds a little hole. He's like a pinball. He'll bounce off people. He runs real low to the ground until he finds that crease, and then he'll pop through it.
He's the leading rusher in the Pac-10, Irvins. And he's had, through 6 games, 4 of them, he's eclipsed the 100-yard rushing figure. Play selection, 3-1 passing for the Trojans to this point. 4-1 Notre Dame running.
Well, Southern Cal wants to throw the ball early and run and hammer the ball in the 4th quarter. Notre Dame will run the ball and beat you with the option.
2nd and 6. Scott comes in as the 3rd receiver. Marinovich with time now, flushed out, finds a man. Holt on his back makes the catch in Notre Dame territory at the 39-yard line. A gain of 15.
What a terrific adjustment by Leroy Holt. He is a fullback. You don't think of fullbacks as great receivers. He's 225 pounds. That's his 15th catch of the year. And what he does, the ball's thrown over the wrong shoulder. He gets the left paw out there and makes a terrific adjustment. Real soft hands for a big man.
Holt last week rushed for a career high 160 yards against Cal. 1st and 10. Irvin's the lone setback, takes the ball to the 36-yard line, tackled by Zorich.
Chris Zorich, number 50, I believe is the best nose tackle in all of America. What he does is he's so good he can make plays in the backfield, he can make plays at the line of scrimmage, but then he'll hustle downfield and make plays in defensive secondary as well. He does not stay blocked. Even if you block him early, he still makes the play.
Grew up in Chicago, went to the same high school as Dick Butkus did. Zorich. Second down play. Marinovich going long, no one there. Picked off. Terrell. Picked off by Pat Terrell. His 4th interception of the year at the 11-yard line.
We were talking to Pat Terrell this week, and he said, I get a feel for a quarterback early in the game. I watch his eyes, and I know within 2 series if I'm going to pick off a ball. And it was the pressure really that made Marinovich overthrow it. It was Ned Volkar, the inside linebacker, number 47, who comes right up the middle of the defense. Pure determination, refuses to stay blocked. Forces Marinovich to throw the ball high, and Pat Terrell, the free safety, picks it off. Good team defense, Jim.
Well, Dockery drew the parallel to last year's Miami game. By the way this one started, Terrell was the key figure in that contest. 1st and 10, Anthony Johnson runs to the 15. Terrell last year against Miami, Pat, did it all.
And Terrell down in the corner, remember he knocked the 2-point play away down in the corner of the end zone. So he's been well documented, has been a major contributor to last year's national championship team.
How tough a transition was it for Terrell, do you believe? Formerly a quarterback in high school, a wide receiver for the Irish 2 years ago.
I think all those moves have helped him as a free safety. He knows the position of quarterback as he played it some, and he knows the wide receiver position, and he reads patterns particularly well at free safety.
2nd and 6 for the offense. And Rice again faking in the line and then darting off right guard past the 20 to the 22-yard line. Ross and Williams combine on the tackle. It's near the 1st down, and it is a 1st down for the Irish.
You know, Tony Rice always has that look in his eye, that look of passion for the game of football and then the feel for competition. And there he did just a nice job of reading the block of Tim Grunhard, number 75, ran off the block and picked up the 1st down. But Tony Rice has a terrific feel for the game of college football, a sense of where he is in the field.
He's 22-2 as a starter in his career at Notre Dame. On 1st and 10, Ricky Waters running up the middle near another 1st down. It'll be about a yard short at the 30.
And what a terrific block by Anthony Johnson, the fullback. Number 22, Anthony Johnson, is the unsung hero on this team. Watch as he blocks number 53, Delmar Cheslin. And that's why that hole opened up. Anthony Johnson can beat you running the football, catching the football, or as he did right there, blocking.
Ricky Waters butting heads with Cleveland Coulter at the 30-yard line to make it 2nd and 1. We'll call it 2nd and 2, actually. And in the line goes Johnson for the 1st down.
You know, you look at Notre Dame's offense and you think of Tony Rice and Raghib Ismail, but I think this offense really does start with Anthony Johnson. And Tim Grunhard, the guard, told me this week, he said, hey, we've adopted him as a lineman because he does such a great job of blocking, and he's a terrific inside runner.
It's quite a tribute to be adopted by the line.
Yeah, very affectionate term, and they don't let too many backs with that group.
1st and 10, 2 minutes left in the 1st quarter, 14-7 USC. Again in the line, up the middle. It's Rodney Culver with the carry. Culver, a sophomore from Detroit, picks up a yard.
Today, the rushing defense, Chris Allen, the defensive coordinator from Southern Cal, said, we will finally be tested on the ground today. He thought their season average was misleading because Southern Cal has played primarily passing teams. He said, we'll find out what kind of rushing defense we have today against the Fighting Irish.
And when they didn't play passing teams, they got such a big jump on the opponent that they forced them to pass. Like Ohio State, they blew out the Buckeyes. 2nd and 8. Rice dancing around, thought to pitch, kept it instead. I think that was wise. Brian Tullio makes the tackle. He's the man who recovered the opening kickoff, the fumble.
Well, that was great team defense there by Southern Cal, because when you run the option play, you got to take the fullback away first, and then Rice on the option, and then the pitch man. And Southern Cal's defense took all three of those players away.
3rd and 10. Tullio dropping Rice for a 2-yard loss. Here comes Sayal. Sayal sacks him at the 26. Talked about John Jackson dedicating his season to his deceased grandmother. Sayal has a story of his own, Pat.
Watch Junior Sayal on the left of the screen. He gets right on the corner of Dean Brown. And when a pass rusher gets on the corner of a blocker, it's all over. And that's what happened. Got on the corner, ran right around him, and Tony Rice never saw him.
Loss of 9 on the play. Sayal, the cousin of Salinesi, quarterback, Colorado, who passed away in September. He's dedicated the season in Anesi's memory. Hendricks kick to Wallace, and Wallace with only a 3-yard return. 46-yard punt, 3-yard return, 1st and 10 for USC from its own 30. It is now time to present this week's Toyota Leadership Award to team players who have been singled out by their school's coaching and faculty staff for outstanding performance in the areas of team contributions, academics, and citizenship. Today's game team leadership winners are Don Grimm from Notre Dame. Don is a marketing major from Scottsdale, Pennsylvania. And John Jackson from Southern Cal. John, finance major, graduated in the spring, taking MBA courses. He's from Diamond Bar, California. Toyota donates a check in the amount of $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund.
Holding by the receiving team in advance of the line of scrimmage. This will be a post-scrimmage kick foul. The penalty is enforced from the end of the kick. It'll be 1st down and 10.
Well, the ball is back now to the 20-yard line after the holding infraction. 9 seconds left in the first quarter. 2 Todd Marinovich touchdown passes, and it's 14-7 USC. Marinovich, before that INT, had thrown 102 straight passes without being picked off. Irvins picking up good yardage. A gain of 12 to the 32. That's the end of the first quarter. Well, hold on a second. Let's see. They'll stop the clock, of course, on the 1st down.
Ricky Irvins, we talked earlier, Jim, does a real nice job of just bouncing off people. It's like kind of a pinball machine.
Well, they stopped the clock momentarily, put it back into play, and that's the end of the first quarter. Exciting one it was. USC leading at 14-7. College football on CBS Sports returns after this message and a word from your local station. Won the last 6 meetings. That's the longest streak in this series history. However, it's USC dropping the bomb on the Irish in the first quarter, leading 14-7.
You know, Lou Holtz was concerned about his pass offense a week ago. Air Force, a wishbone team, threw for over 300 yards. And thus far today, Todd Marinovich has done a nice job of getting the ball upfield.
He has 1st and 10 from his own 32-yard line. Double tight end set. Running with Irvins. He cuts back to the middle, gets to the 36-yard line. Tackled by Bolcar. Clemson trying to avenge 3 years of frustrations against North Carolina State and leading by 2 touchdowns. Can you believe that score out of the SEC today? Part 1 of our doubleheader. 47-30.
Well, Gary Hollingsworth has done a nice job for the Tide this year, hasn't he?
He really has. Stepping in. It's 2nd and 5. Marinovich steps forward, picks up the 1st.
Todd Brenovich has got some nice foot speed. You don't think of the guy as a real runner, but he ordinarily can just kind of move around and buy himself a little bit more time. But now you're going to see some actual real good foot speed. A nice pass rush by Kolakowski, number 37. And then he gets upfield, knows where the marker is, and then get down.
Yeah, he scrambles for 10 in all. And a first down.
He was really raised to play in games like this. He grew up in a very regimented training background. His father is an athletic trainer.
Started stretching exercises when he was a month old. First and 10 pass completion. Near another first down. It is a first down in Notre Dame territory. And it's Gary Wellman with the reception.
And Jim, there's that situation with the left-handed thrower again. You think you have a guy covered, and it looks like he's lobbing the ball. But the ball gets in there, and it's easy to catch because it's right in the numbers. There's good coverage there. There were 3 blue jerseys around, but the ball was easily caught because it was thrown right in Wellman's chest.
Gary Wellman, a junior from Westlake Village, California. First and 10, Trojans marching again in Notre Dame territory. Holt met at the line. Jeff Holm came in first, and then he was met by others,
Jim,
including Volcar.
Jim, this has been an interesting year for redshirt freshman quarterbacks around the country. Of course, Marinovich being one of them. But Van Pelt at Pitt has done a great job. Garcia up at Washington State. Of course, Marinovich we're seeing today. Torretta at Miami, who will start against Florida State next week. And then Grayback of Michigan. We used to say freshmen couldn't play. It's no longer true.
Well, he set out last year, took snaps, practice and everything, but redshirted. So he's a redshirt freshman. Marinovich has Jackson at the 16, trying to spin away from Todd Light, but he's tackled right there. A gain of 24 to John Jackson.
What happens here is John Jackson is the inside man. He is in motion, number one. He is going to run the out cut, fake the out, the man in motion, and then turn upfield. And then number one runs upfield, and nice touch in between the defenders. Just zips the ball in between the corner and in front of the safety. And again, that's a tough throw for a left-handed quarterback as he is rolling to his right.
John Jackson's third catch for 50 yards and 1 touchdown. First and 10 Trojans. Irvins wrestled down by Bob Dahl. He got him from behind. Ball's at the 15-yard line.
This is an important defensive series for the Fighting Irish. Here's where, with 12:07 remaining in the second quarter, they want to force Southern Cal to attempt a field goal. It is now 2nd and 8. This is a big down for this Irish defense.
USC stays with the 2-receiver set, the pro set offense. Wellman right, Jackson left. Holt and Irvins in the backfield. Marinovich to Irvins, and he's bounced down at the 11 by Smagala.
What a nice play by Stan Smagala. Smagala is a guy that people try to pick on every week, but somehow Smagala continues to make plays. Here, Marinovich looks off to his right first and then comes back. And again, young quarterbacks don't do that very well, but watch the play by number 29. Comes up and not only makes the play, he prevents Irvins from gaining any extra yards after the catch.
Smagala had an important chapter in last year's game. Ran a Rodney Pete pass back for a touchdown. Marinovich hit at the 11. Goal. Kolakowski.
Great play by Bob Dahl, number 93. Got terrific penetration on the option play and got a hold of Marinovich's legs and he had nowhere to go. And so this defense did their job in forcing the field goal attempt. Now what they do, Jim, is put a lot of tall guys inside, guys like Jeff Alm, who's 6'7", to try to block these field goal attempts.
The lefty, Quinn Rodriguez. Perfect 5 for 5 on the year. He still hasn't missed. That was 29 yards, and it's a 10-point lead for USC. Little anger still left on the field. 10:22 left in the second quarter, and it's a 10-point Trojan lead at Notre Dame Stadium. Jim Nance along with Pat Hayden and John Dockery. Greg Gumbel and Mike Francesa are manning the studio back in New York. USC ranked number 9 in the country. They have stopped streaks before at Notre Dame, USC, and 4 more would give them a school record.
And that has been against some incredibly tough competition over those 18 games.
That 21 victory streak, which is the school mark, was stopped in a tie game by USC. 1948. Rodney Culver can't find it, and now falls on it at the 23-yard line. It's Ismail actually with the recovery. Culver was the man bobbling it at first. Tomorrow we have a full slate of NFL games, 1 o'clock Eastern. The improved Tampa Bay Bucks travel to Washington. The Cowboys try for their first win in Kansas City. There's other action. Minnesota and Herschel take on Detroit and Rodney Peete. Green Bay versus Miami. Some of the games are late in the day. Some of you will get your game later with the Giants and the Chargers at 4 Eastern. Check your local listings for the game and time. Of course, it all gets started at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today. Rice looking option, now dropping back, throwing long for the Rocket. And it was overthrown. Rice threw that football 60 yards in the air.
Tony Rice said earlier this year, the only way that I can ordinarily overthrow Rocket is when he's in his stance. But he did it there, and they had a chance for a big play because the free safety was up. Mark Carey was up trying to take away the option play and off the option fake, and that left Ismail open on the post pattern.
Notre Dame still looking for its first completion. Rice is 0 for 3 in passing. Wishbone on 2nd and 10. Setting up the screen. And right off the back of Grunhard.
Boy, that was set up nicely, except it was some pressure on the outside by number 55, Sayal, that really prevented that play from developing.
There's a flag down too, Pat.
It's against Notre Dame. But watch Junior Sayal, number 55. This is a screen being set up. Again, Sayal gets in his way, gets the hands up, and the timing, a screen is all timing. The timing was disrupted right there by Sayal on the rush.
Right off the back of number 75, Tim Grunhard.
It's a good shot of Sayal. He has become Southern Cal's playmaker on defense. He is their rush end. He says, when the game's over, I want to feel exhausted. And he's off to a good start today.
Other scores, we're swinging through the ACC for a moment. Now SEC scores, Georgia and Vanderbilt. Bobby Ross has a streak going for Georgia Tech. 3rd straight win today for the Yellow Jackets. Ineligible receiver on that play. So it's a loss of down and distance. 3rd and 15.
This is the 3rd time Notre Dame has come up in a 3rd and long situation, Jim. This is not their kind of down.
Out of the eye. Johnson and Waters behind Rice. Play action fake to Waters. Rice under pressure throws. And Rocket was in the area. Ismail, but he was buried. Talking about Rice by Randy Horde.
Boy, Ismail was wide open if Rice had time. Why Ismail, number 25, who beats Garner, who slips. He runs to the corner route, and he's open by a good 5 yards, but it was pressure by Randy Horde, which prevented the completion. It just shows you a pass rush equals good defense.
A year ago, it was the rush of Notre Dame on Rodney Peete. And today, the Trojans with the rush on Tony Rice, still looking for his first completion. Hendricks punt, bouncing around, and Wallace will let it go. Down to the 27-yard line. USC has the football and a 10-point lead. Well, that often seen stone mosaic is on the Father Theodore M. Hesburgh Library building. And it neighbors Notre Dame Stadium. 17-7 Southern Cal. And the hotshot freshman, Todd Marinovich, comes to the line with a lead and confidence. He wanted to get started early. with success. He has. 3 receivers set. Marinovich looking right, throwing right. Jackson dodges one man, another, cutting back the middle. Jackson to the 36-yard line.
John Jackson, who's only 5'11", 180 pounds, says, I feel like I'm 6'2", 195 pounds when I run routes over the middle. Now they're going into a no-huddle offense, even though there's 9:27 remaining. This was something they're trying to prevent, defensive substitutions.
Well, second and short. 3 receivers again. Joel Scott, the extra receiver. Marinovich calling the signals, and the play at the line. Hands to Irvins. His little stutter step helps him pick up the first down at the 39. He looked for a moment, couldn't find anything, Pat.
Yeah, you're right. He's really a patient runner. Waits for things to develop. And again, the no-huddle offense, everybody's imitating the Cincinnati Bengals of a year ago. And that's because college football, just like pro football, has become a game of substitution.
Now they've got a lefty quarterback like the Bengals. Instead of the boomer, it's Todd Marinovich. First and 10. Dumps it off to Irvins, the safety valve on this play. And the football was at the 45-yard line. Don Grimm with the tackle. USC leading at 17-7. No huddle offense continues for the Trojans. 8:38 left in the second quarter.
Marinovich is doing a great job of looking people off.
Here comes Kowalkowski. The pass almost intercepted by Andre Jones. And Kowalkowski flattened Marinovich.
Yeah.
We're in South Bend, Indiana, for number 1 against number 9. The Fighting Irish riding an 18-game victory streak against Southern Cal. They're longtime rivals. Southern Cal recovered a fumble on the opening kick. Took it in on a touchdown pass to Wallace. Back came Notre Dame. Tony Rice keeps from 7 yards. And then Marinovich, another touchdown pass. This to John Jackson. A Rodriguez field goal for USC now has it at 17-7. Third down. We'll call it 4. Irvins has the first down, and back into Notre Dame territory go the USC Trojans. Second touchdown of the game was Marinovich to John Jackson.
And what Jackson does a great job of is after he catches the ball, he gets right upfield. Doesn't waste any time, splits 2 defenders, Light and Terrell, and then crosses the end zone. Didn't dance around, didn't cut back, didn't lose any yardage. And Todd Marinovich has been the story of this game thus far for Southern Cal. He is not playing over his head, but he is certainly playing beyond his years.
I think that last play call surprised Notre Dame. They ran it with Irvins, and they had all kinds of room to pick up the first down.
They ran a little bit of a sprint draw play on 3rd and 4 against a nickel defense.
2 tight ends, Galbraith and Griffin. Holt, the fullback, is the lone back on 1st and 10. Holt to the 35-yard line. 13 yards. Tackled by Francisco.
This is a nice block by Brad Leggett, number 63, the center. Zorich is out, and Ridgely, number 99, is in. But Leggett does a nice job of opening up the hole there for Leroy Holt. And you know, Jim, I think we have 2 of college football's best fullbacks in this game, in Leroy Holt from Southern Cal and Anthony Johnson from Notre Dame. 2 guys who are very versatile, could beat you catching the ball, running, and blocking.
And they may be the best blocking fullbacks you'll see.
Absolutely, yeah. The people at Notre Dame felt that Holt was the best blocker they saw all year last year.
1st and 10. Halfway through the second quarter. USC leading by 10, looking for more. It's intercepted. DeJuan Francisco. USC driving again, and this time Marinovich throws his 2nd interception of the day.
I think Marinovich was expecting Larry Wallace, number 82, to break inside over the middle, and he decided to go over behind the defensive back. I thought he was expecting him to cut right underneath and catch that ball low and away. But this time, Todd Marinovich did not look the receiver off. And again, DeJuan Francisco, number 32, did a great job of reading those eyes and then stepped up to make the play. Marinovich Maravich has not thrown many interceptions, but the secondary, that experienced secondary, have picked off 2 thus far.
2 interceptions, 2 touchdown passes. Notre Dame from its 18. Rice gets a block from Waters and goes out of bounds at the 21-yard line. We got a report on the sidelines from John Dockery. Take it away, Doc.
Thank you, Jim. Pat Hayden mentioned it earlier. Craig Furtick, you were on a team that beat a #1 Notre Dame team. What did you tell your nephew, Todd Marinovich, before the game?
Oh, I hugged him, and I told him what my old coach, John McKay, told me. This is what it's all about. And as I told Pat Hayden many years ago, just drop back and hit the open man.
What would you say about his performance to this moment?
Up until that last throw, pretty good.
Okay, thank you very much. Now back to you guys.
Well, he's engineered an upset to this point. 2nd down, 7. Rice to the 24-yard line, setting up 3rd and about 4. They have to get to the 28.
And this is a very important 3rd down for the Notre Dame offense. 7:20 remaining in the 2nd quarter. They have all 3 of their timeouts. It's important, I believe, that they get something on the scoreboard before halftime. And this is a team that has done a great job of driving the distance right before halftime to usually knock people out, but not today.
The one Irish score set up by a 57-yard kickoff return by Raghib Ismail. 3rd down, Rice has his first completion. Derek Brown near the 1st down. 27-yard line. He might be a shade short. Delmar Chesley put the shoulder into him. May have stopped him from getting the first.
Derek Brown, only a sophomore, but he will be the difference in a lot of Notre Dame games over the next 2.5 years. He is 6'7", 250 pounds, a dominating blocker, but he has the speed to get deep. He was recruited by everybody in America 2 years ago, and he is quietly becoming one of the best tight ends in all of America.
As a freshman, he saved his best performances for the big games, didn't he, Pat?
Well, he sure did. He played very well against Miami here in that big 31-30 win. Played very well in the Fiesta Bowl. And now he picks up the 1st down on a very important drive for Notre Dame.
The measurement is true.
Well, I don't think you measure Tony Rice, though, by his passing stats, Jim. I think you measure him by some of the subtle things that he does to help you win ball games. Running the option, making the right audibles.
And the wishbone on 1st and 10. Anthony Johnson past the 30. A gain of 2. Well, you're talking about how you measure Tony Rice. Really, you can't look at his stats. Passing stats aren't going to knock you over. But you look at his winning stats. You really measure him by victories. In the Heisman Watch 89, this is the most unusual year in recent memory. No clear-cut favorite at this point as we near the end of October. You got Major Harris, Andre Ware posting phenomenal numbers at Houston. D. Dowis, I think he had to win last week against Notre Dame personally. And the reverse fake and pass. And the pass is over the head of Tony Smith. Dwayne Garner stayed with Smith.
It looked like Smith slowed down a little bit, Jim. Otherwise, that is an easy score. And again, just the effect of Ismail on this field. Everybody sees him come around. Everybody's yelling reverse. Watch all the white jerseys just freeze for a moment. They're yelling reverse, reverse. They stop. See the guys, all the guys that went to the reverse. And then Tony Smith really was open. It looked like he slowed down just a pinch. Again, an isolated look right there in the middle of your screen. He's running the post pattern. The free safety steps up. And twice they've tested Garner deep.
So it's 3rd and 8. A flag is down. A flag down. Rice pass dropped. Ismail handed it the 47 of USC. Hit him right in the chest. But there is a flag down.
The story of this game thus far, Jim, has been the passing of Todd Marinovich and Southern Cal's defense putting Notre Dame in 3rd and long situations. Thus far this year, Notre Dame has been a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 team. Today, they've been in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 most of the afternoon. A couple of other Heisman Trophy hopefuls. Anthony Thompson, who's having a terrific year at Indiana, leading Division 1A in rushing, and Ken Clark out of Nebraska. We're going to see him later on in the year. And we'll discuss these Heisman hopefuls the rest of the afternoon.
4th down.
mishap on the snap back, but Hendricks still gets it away, and it's a good one. Bobbled around and lost, but fallen on and recovered by USC. It was Larry Wallace. The ball was at the 14-yard line. 5.5 minutes left in the half. USC has handed Notre Dame more losses than any other school, and it's vice versa. Same thing, Irish have given the Trojans more setbacks than anyone else. 1st and 10, Marinovich to Irvins. Short gain to the 19. Call it 4 or 5 yards on the play. Smagala and Grimm. Well, the story here, turnovers in the first quarter helped give USC the early lead. In fact, the turnover on the opening kick, and then Marinovich on a touchdown pass. It's quickly 7-0 USC. A big kick return set up Notre Dame's only score, a Tony Rice dash from 7 yards. But Marinovich firing again for a touchdown. It's 17-7 now after a field goal by Rodriguez. Irvins carries to the 21. It'll be that 3rd and 4 situation coming up for the Trojans, Pat.
Yeah, in the last 3rd and 4 situation, they ran the draw play. They spread everybody out, made it look like a pass, and Ricky Irvins picked up the first down very easily against that nickel defense. But again, for Notre Dame's defense, trailing by 10, a critical down to force the punt, get the ball in good field position, and give Tony Rice a chance to get something on the scoreboard before halftime.
Stay with the 2-receiver formation. Wellman to the right, Jackson to the left. Looking for Wellman. Catch is made near the first down. This depends on the spot. Makes the catch at the 24-yard line. And they'll measure.
Well, he was not open by much, was Gary Wellman against Todd Light. Nice coverage. And anytime you know, Jim, that a corner takes away a short out like that, you're setting up the out and up. At some point in this game, you might very well see Gary Wellman fake that out cut and then break it up for a big play.
Got the first down. We were taking a look at Larry Smith a moment ago. He has won here before at Notre Dame Stadium when he was the coach of the Arizona Wildcats. It was 1982. Arizona came in to play a 4-0 Notre Dame team. Jerry Faust's best start as the Irish coach, as it would end up. But Arizona won it on a last-second field goal by Zendejas, 16-13. 1st and 10, Irvins, a loss of 3. Graham and Jones. Well, he'll talk about picking up yards.
Yeah, he may lead the team in rushing, Lou Holtz, as he faces. I bet you he goes 300 or 400 yards a game. There it is.
He's already surpassed that.
That is today, 500 yards rushing by Holtz, and the team has 68.
That's impressive. That leads the nation.
He'll be 1,000. Maybe he's a Heisman candidate.
What'll be interesting to see is if he can keep it up. If there's a fatigue factor in the second half.
In the 4th quarter. You know, he probably didn't realize he's even walking up and down. He is so into the game. He's got tremendous concentration, thinking about the next sequence of plays that he's going to call.
2nd down, 13. Oh, a hit put on by Todd Light. Frank Griffin, the backup tight end, made the catch, held on to it at the 27-yard line.
This has so far been a game of eyes. Todd Marinovich's eyes against the defensive backs from Notre Dame. And Todd Light uses his eyes to read this pattern and puts the hit on Griffin right after the catch. But what Griffin did a nice job of getting up right away. Even if he's hurt, he got right up and bounced back up into the huddle.
Well, I tell you, for some, that would have turned out the lights. But Griffin got up, walked off the field. 3rd down, 6. Marinovich has Jackson, 1st down, and out of bounds at the 44-yard line.
Well, nice scheme here so far by Ray Dorr and John Masco, the two guys in charge of USC's offense. They've been sending John Jackson in motion against a man-for-man defense, and what that does is force D1 Francisco, number 32, always to be trailing the receiver for an easy throw. And it's been the eyes of Marinovich. We talked about this being a game of eyes. The defensive backs against his eyes. And that time, Marinovich won that battle.
A gain of 15. Marinovich has already thrown 25 passes, 16 for 25, 155 yards. On 1st and 10, Holt A gain of 2. Right into the heart of that defense with Zorich. Volkar coming up. At halftime, you'll be seeing more scores plus some highlights from today's action.
Big day in college football. Some big wins, huh?
Really. Texas again upsetting Arkansas.
1:54 remaining in the first half. USC with 3 timeouts. They're trying to squeeze as much out of the clock and still get something on the board before halftime.
2nd down and 8. Running the option. Marinovich pitch to Irvins. Todd Light was the man to stop it at the 48-yard line. USC has held the football on this possession for over 4 minutes. Next week, Alabama and Penn State. Crimson Tide taking control at this point of the SEC with its victory today over 6th-ranked Tennessee. 47-30, Alabama the winner today. And the Tide is unbeaten. John Jackson hobbling off the field. After that last play, he threw a block and got up slowly. Irvins met at midfield. Volkar hit him and hammered him near midfield. We're in the last minute of the first half. Notre Dame signaled for a timeout. Notre Dame takes a timeout with 49 seconds left before the intermission. And the lead by USC. And you see the timeout situation. Notre Dame has 2 remaining.
Notre Dame is not a punt block team. Notre Dame is a return team.
And you see that once everyone got to the line, the Trojans called for a time. That's the first timeout taken in this half.
Local carpet cleaner.
Welcome back, folks. Let me just update you on John Jackson, who just went off the field for USC. He hurt his ankle in the Cal game last week. He appears to be fine. There's nobody working on him. He's walking up and down the sidelines. So Jim and Pat, we expect him back.
He had missed some practice earlier in the week, John Jackson. That's good news for USC. Good timeout by Larry Smith.
Clever timeout by Larry Smith. He wanted to see if Notre Dame was going to try to block the punt and who was deep.
He's changed punters during this timeout. He had Dale out before. Now it's Preston. Mark Preston. Short kick bouncing around into that wind, and it's inside of the 20. There are a few players that were not really aware where the football was. That could have been a dangerous situation.
That's what happens when you punt the ball into a blustering wind, and it really was there. The wind is going 10, 15 miles an hour. But now with 37 seconds remaining, I think what you're going to see is Tony Rice try to run this clock out, go in 17-7 deficit, and try to find a way to make the adjustments to come out and win in the second half. Lou Holtz is one of the great adjustment coaches in college football.
From the 19. The delay. Waters. Only a gain of a couple.
Well, surprisingly, Southern Cal's got single coverage on Ismail. That's one man you must have double coverage on in this situation.
Rice stays on his feet. There's Ismail at the 40 and out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Cleveland Coulter pushed him out, but you called it, Pat. He was open.
Well, the play earlier was actually single covered. This time, though, Michael Williams, number 54, the linebacker, jams him at the line of scrimmage, but he is a physical player even though he is only 175 pounds. Runs away from the inside linebacker, Scott Ross, and before Coulter comes up and makes the stop.
Gain of 22. Only 12 seconds left in the half. Last time Notre Dame trailed at the half was when Tony Rice really made his debut as the Notre Dame quarterback. It was at Pitt, and Notre Dame trailed 27-0 at halftime. Rice now flushed out of the pocket, still on his feet, throwing complete to Brown at the 43. 3 seconds. Will they get that timeout? Yes. Gain of 15. To complete that thought, in that game against Pitt in 1987, Terry Andrzak was the quarterback for Notre Dame, went out with injury. Rice moved the football in the second half. It was a 30-22 final that day for Pitt, beating Notre Dame, but Rice has been the quarterback since.
Again, Tony Rice has some very strong legs. Now, there's some pretty good pass rush here from the backside, but he fights through a couple of guys. and you have an imposing target in Derek Brown. He is well covered by Mark Carrier, but what Brown did a great job of is screening Carrier away from him. Remember, Brown is 6'7", 250 pounds.
The football was almost pinned for a moment, Pat, to the turf. Almost. Someone got him by the ankle. That's close. They're going to try a field goal. Notre Dame will attempt a 60-yard field goal. It's Hendrick, the freshman.
With the wind, his long of the year is 32 yards.
Again, he's a freshman. A timeout called by Southern Cal. His longest ever, a 55-yarder in high school, but we're talking a different deal here.
Yeah, but when you think of the wind, he's got a good, probably a 15-mile-an-hour wind behind him.
Tomorrow we have regional coverage coming your way in the National Football League. Many will see Tampa Bay. Ray Perkins has that team going this year against Washington. Lost a heartbreaker, the Bucks, last week to Detroit. Some will see Dallas and Kansas City, or Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, Miami. Others will get their game late in the day, like the Giants at San Diego, or the Saints and Rams, or the Falcons against Phoenix. All starts 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. Check your local listings for the game in your area.
You know, Jim, I think another good timeout call there by Larry Smith, just to make sure that his team has got everything covered, whether it's going to be a fake and whether they're going to get their big, tall guys inside to try to block this. Because anytime you have a 60-yard field goal, it's going to come out of their low.
They've got a backup snapper in there, Joe Allen. Jim Sexton, a backup punter, holds for Hendrick. 60-yard kick. Will it get there? No, it's well short. Well short, and the half ends with USC leading over the nation's #1 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 17-7 is our score. We'll go back to our New York studios now with Greg Gumbel and Mike plays right off the bat. On the opening kickoff, Raghib Ismail was hit and fumbled, and this got it started for USC, Pat.
Well, we said it was going to be a day of big plays. Ismail and Marinovich were going to be the men involved in that. That was the opening kickoff. He did fumble, and then USC 8 plays later, Marinovich finds Larry Wallace on a post pattern for the easy score, beating the free safety. And then Ismail again, this time on a punt return, fumbles the ball right into the hands of Junior Seau, and then it was just 2 plays later when Marinovich found his split end, #1, John Jackson, who caught the ball over the middle and darted into the end zone between 2 plays. So it has been a game of big plays. Todd Marinovich has had a remarkable first half, I think, Jim. A freshman, we talked about him being a young guy, 16 of 25. He's thrown for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he's thrown the ball to 7 different receivers, and he's thrown it all over the field as well, Jim. The 15-yard zone, and primarily it's been the short control passes. He did throw the 1 touchdown pass to Wallace that was over the middle, but then it was the short passes, the control passes that Marinovich has been so effective on.
Well, it's impressive. 7 different receivers have caught passes from Marinovich. He is poised, and he leads. His team leads at halftime. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of today's CFA game is sponsored by Today Chevrolet, who invite you to today this one from winning like the heartbeat of America. GMAC, the official sponsor of America's dreams. And by the Upjohn Company. If you're concerned about hair loss, see your doctor.
Again, the last time Notre Dame trailed at halftime was 1987 against Pittsburgh. Last year in their national championship season, the Irish never trailed at the intermission. Yes, Miami was tied with them at halftime, but Notre Dame beat them here in a classic 31-30. To start the second half, USC will receive the football, and the Trojans will have the added benefit of having the wind at their backs in the final quarter.
And that makes this a very important quarter for the Notre Dame team. And again, it starts with their defense. You got to stuff Southern Cal's offense, force a punt into the wind right now, and get yourself good field position.
Calvin Holmes is standing at the 2. He's the man in the middle to receive the kick from Hendricks. Instead, it comes on a wing to Wallace. Wallace will follow the wall and then get hit at the 20. There is a flag down on the field on the return. Wallace hit by Greg Davis. Larry Wallace scored the game's opening touchdown. And he returns it to the 20, but the Trojans will be backed up. John Dockery spoke minutes ago to Lou Holtz.
Are you there? Okay. Coach, an unfamiliar position. You're down at the halfway time. What adjustments do you make?
Well, I think, number one, we got to stop the third down pass, and we got to be able to throw the ball better on early down. The third down pass, the thing that's really hurt us. They're an awful good football team. There's no doubt about that. What I'm disappointed in, we aren't playing our best, but we're going to have a little gut check. We'll find out where we are now. It's time we all reach down and check our low hole card.
Okay, Coach.
Thank you.
The gut check begins as USC has the football at its own 10. And Leroy Holt manages only a yard. Ned Bolcar nailed him.
Larry Smith knows that this is a very important series for his offensive team because your whole half is set up by your first series on offense. They're backed up into their end zone now on the 12-yard line. It's important they get a first down before they punt.
Larry Smith's third season at Southern Cal. He has not beaten Notre Dame his first 2 years for the Trojans. 2nd and 9, Irvins. Hit by Grimm at the 13-yard line. There are 2 games that are circled on USC's calendar, and they are UCLA and Notre Dame.
Watch the offensive lineman, Brett Parkinson, number 71, the guard pulling out, but there's number 90, Alm, who took up 3 blockers, took up 3 white jerseys, and that allowed Grimm and Bolcar and Smagala all in there to make the play.
3rd and 6. Crowd on its feet. Marinovich, with time, fires complete to Galbraith, and he is backed up at the 20 and maybe short of the first down.
And Larry Smith does not like the mark of the ball.
He wants the forward progress.
Yeah, did not like the mark. It looked when Galbraith first caught the ball, he was past the marker and then was pushed back. Again, a split crew here today, but watch the patience of Marinovich. Remarkable calm for a freshman playing in a game like this. Finds his 3rd receiver. He's past the first down there. That should have been a first down. They pushed him back, but his momentum was stopped after the first down.
He made the catch at the 22 and then was backed up to the 20-yard line, which is inches shy of the first. Good reason to be angry on the USC sidelines. Preston will punt on 4th down. High kick. The wind has it, however. Keeps it up at midfield, and Bellis makes the fair catch. Good field position to start out the second half for the Notre Dame offense that has managed only a touchdown. The Irish trail by 10.
Was upset because the first down marker is inches past the 20-yard line. The ball is thrown there. Now, he catches the ball at about the 22 and is stopped right there, and that's where his forward momentum was stopped. The 20-yard line, inches past that, you'll see the red marker in just a moment right there. That was where the first down marker is, so that should have been a first down.
Instead, Larry Smith and the Trojans had to punt into the wind. A 30-yard boot sets up Notre Dame at midfield. Eilers to the right, Ismail and a slot right. Waters the tailback out of the eye. Option right, Rice keeps. Longest run of the game for Notre Dame and a first down. A gain of 11. That's the longest rushing play of the afternoon for Notre Dame.
And a terrific block by Pat Eilers, the wide receiver, number 13, who came down from the outside, sealed off the inside, and Tony Rice just cut off his block. Bottom of the screen, number 13. He comes down. The other receiver comes down. They both make blocks, and Rice cuts right behind it.
First and 10 from the USC 40. Running the same way. This time pitch to Waters, nothing. Carrier came up from free safety. Scott Ross was there. Let's get a report from John Dockery. John?
Jim, it was in this tunnel before the game that the two teams fought. At halftime, a different kind of exchange. Notre Dame walked in. They were very quiet, didn't say a word. USC right next to them was baiting Notre Dame by singing the Irish fight song. I don't know if that's a wise idea. The Irish didn't respond then, but now they're out on the field. Jim, Pat, back to you.
Second and 10. Rice rolling, throwing. Eilers has it at the 30. And this will depend on the spot. It'll be a little bit short of the first down.
That was a frozen rope. Pat Eilers, the man who made the block just a moment ago at the top of the screen, is going to run the hook route. Pat Eilers is a role player on this team. He'll block for you when you need to. He'll run the routes. He'll catch the ball over the middle. And that's one of the great things, I think, Jim, about this Notre Dame team. They have a lot of guys playing different roles and happy to do it.
Pat Eilers went to Yale and transferred here to Notre Dame, where he walked on the football team. 3rd and 1. Wishbone set. Rice is tripped up from behind by Scott Ross. And it's a loss by Ross. And we'll have to check Notre Dame. It's at the 33-yard line. Knocked him back for a 2-yard loss.
Every good defense has an emotional leader, and Scott Ross is that for Southern Cal. He read the guard block down. He read the guard, he blocked down. He stepped into the hole, had just enough speed to get his hand around the feet of Tony Rice and tripped him up.
It is 4th and 3. Notre Dame will go for it.
They've run option plays for years in this situation with great success.
Two tight ends. Rod West joins Derek Brown. Rice peeps, has it, and more. Inside of the 10.
The outside linebacker for Southern Cal, number 55, Junior Sal, comes down so hard at the right part of your screen, Tony Rice just steps around it. Carrier, number 7, who has the responsibility on Rice, gets blocked. And that's the same play, Jim, that he ran for 65 yards against Southern Cal for a touchdown last year.
Gain of 23, 1st and goal. And Anthony Johnson runs for 3. Into that line, that wall of USC.
Notre Dame is so good when they get inside the 10-yard line because they have a lot of different ways of getting the ball in the end zone. They run option plays, which gives you a big fullback in Johnson. They can get Rice to the outside, and they've got big receivers in Derek Brown and Pat Eilers to catch the ball. 4 or 5 different options when they get inside the 10.
And you'll often see the wishbone from here, but they stick with the eye. Eilers to the right. Waters is the tailback. Anthony Johnson taking the handoff inside and getting near the 1.
He may be one of the best inside runners I have ever seen, Anthony Johnson. He has done this for 4 years at Notre Dame. His legs never stop moving. Even when he gets hit, he never gets hit solidly. His legs keep moving, and he's a big guy. He's 6 feet 1 inches, and he's going to fall forward and pick up a couple of extra yards.
Always going forward. And this is where you see him even more often. 3rd and goal from the 2. Rice has it. Pitch to Waters. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Irish within 3. Low snap. Sexton gets it down. Hendrick drives it through. It was gut check time, said Lou Holtz, and right out come the Irish with a touchdown on their first possession of the second half.
And it was a beautiful sequencing of plays, too, as you watch Tony Rice here, as he comes down and flips the ball to Ricky Waters. He picks up a nice block by Derek Brown, the tight end. But it was the 4th down play, the 4th and 3 play that Tony Rice that set it all up. Again, an option play. This time he chose to keep it himself. Tony Rice, the leader of this offense.
Notre Dame.
Lou Holtz told John Dockery at the beginning of the second half, it's gut check time for the Fighting Irish, and they came out and scored to close it to a 3-point game.
Hendrick's kick will go through the end zone. Touchback, and USC will bring it out to the 20.
Beautiful job of reading the option by Tony Rice, but watch number 55, Junior Seau. He is crashing down on Rice and trying to make him make a quick decision. And it's a great read by Rice. Takes the ball out of the fullback's stomach, steps back 2 steps to give himself some clearance, and then has the speed and the quickness to pitch the ball to Ricky Waters. Junior Seau trying to put quick heat on Tony Rice.
From the 20. Marinovich will throw on first down. Complete. Joel Scott. And just a short gain. 5 yards in all.
Shut up, guys.
This is a game of emotion and challenges. And a special contest and a special challenge given to this team by Lou Holtz at halftime. Defending national champions, and believe me, all those seniors, Jim, know it. Great athletes play well in big games.
They've called it all week. Big versus big. And not to diminish the caliber of other opponents, but they each expressed in their own way how they were looking forward to playing against the other big guys. 2nd and 5. Marinovich complete the Griffin, and a first down for Southern Cal at the 32-yard line, pushed out by DeJuan Francisco.
Well, a nice little scheme there by Southern Cal. Ray Dorr and John Masco, the 2 guys who control USC's offense, have done a great job of mixing up plays. And college football and long drives mean you have to sequence your plays. They've run the ball well at times. They've dinked the ball downfield. They've thrown it upfield. They did a nice job of setting up plays.
Todd Marinovich has gone to the air 28 times. 1st and 10. 2 tight ends set. They'll run it with Holt, and he'll pick up 3. Tackled at the 35-yard line by Grimm. Zorich. Colorado continues on. Next up for the Buffs, Oklahoma.
Now, mentioning Colorado, we were talking about the Heisman a little bit earlier. There's a guy that no one's talked much about at Colorado, Darian Hagan, their quarterback, who's had a sensational year, both running and passing, filling in for their departed leader, Sal Nesse, who died several weeks ago. An emotional Colorado team.
2nd and 7. Jackson in motion. Marinovich throws to Jackson. And he has another first down for the Trojans at the 47-yard line. Bumped out by Andre Jones, a gain of 12.
Again, this is the 3rd time that John Jackson has gone in motion, run the same route. And what's going to happen, Notre Dame's going to have to make an adjustment and roll the corner up on top, because he is just too wide open. It's only a 5-yard throw, but they gain probably 12, 14 yards, 12 yards out of an easy throw. You're going to have to take that route away by rolling the corners up.
1st and 10. Holt for 3. Devon McDonald in on the tackle along with Smagala. Let's go down to the sidelines, to the docks, with John Dockery.
Jim and Pat, remember yesterday when we talked to the USC coaches and Todd Marinovich, they kept emphasizing, take what the defense gives you. The short pass, the quick out. Well, all along the sidelines, they've been continuing to emphasize that. So that's why we're seeing the short game, because Notre Dame is giving that to USC.
And Doc, you are right. In the patience of Marinovich, only 185 yards on the completions, but he's taking what they're giving him.
He hands off on this play to Holt. And Holt is at the 47. He needs to get inside of the 44 of Notre Dame for the first down. Talking about taking what's given him. Marinovich has completed his last 8 passes. Yes, they've been high percentage passes.
But again, as a young guy, Jim, he doesn't force the ball, though he's thrown the 2 interceptions today, but coming in today's game, only the 3 interceptions. But he's had trouble when he's thrown the ball downfield deep. That's where the interceptions have come.
Here's a big third down play for you. 3rd and 4. They fake to Irvin. Marinovich throws, and it's batted down by Alm. Jeff Alm is noted for that.
Jeff Alm tips as many balls as anybody in college football. Last year, he led this team in interceptions because he tipped so many balls, number 90. And what they do, he doesn't get a big pass rush here, but he gets his big left hand in the way. He is 6'7". And that is a big play because the receiver was open. And, you know, you never know on these tip balls how many big plays you save, but I guarantee you that was one right there that Jeff Alm saved on the tip.
It was going in the direction of John Jackson. And on 4th down, Preston punts for the Trojans. Good kick inside of the 20. Waters calls the fair catch. Ricky Waters at the 14-yard line. Well, we were talking about big on big and how some of the players had discussed that this week. Well, Jeff Alm, who just batted down that pass, was one man who had that explanation.
I love going against somebody who's 6'7", 290, 300 pounds, and last year went against the one-man gang. You know, he was 320 or upwards of thereabout, and it's just fun to see who can hit who the hardest, and you know, to take somebody one-on-one and try and stuff them, or maybe occasionally have them stuff you. This is what football is all about.
Ricky Waters on the carry on 1st down, and he picks up a Notre Dame 1st down at the 25, getting the lead block from Anthony Johnson, a gain of 11.
College football is about adjustments, and Lou Holtz has always made great adjustments at halftime. Right now, they have come back out in this second half and run some option in their first drive. That time, it was a power play, a pitch play, and again, it was Anthony Johnson, the fullback, who threw the key block for Waters. I can't tell you how well Anthony Johnson is playing. Take a look at the fullback, number 22. Everybody will look at the run that Ricky Waters. Take a look at the measurement here first.
He's got it. 1st down, Notre Dame.
Everybody will talk about the run that Ricky Waters made here, but it's the fullback, number 22, the block on Williams, number 54, that really sets it up. This is a beautiful teamwork in this second half. An opening drive, they've mixed the ball up, their plays up beautifully, running some option plays, and then there's some power.
Must be gratifying today for Waters to score that touchdown. He missed last year's game because he showed up late for a team meeting and was sent home from Los Angeles. Rice's pass to Derek Brown. Brown was open, and Tony Rice took another big hit.
Derek Brown was open by 10 yards. Everybody was fooled on a great play-action fake. And earlier they threw the ball to the wide receiver. This time number 86 runs right past number 7, Mark Harrier. Mark Harrier realized he was beaten, but the ball was just thrown way too inside. But that's an easy big play if he doesn't overthrow it. Boy, I'll tell you, that's one tomorrow. I guarantee you he's going to wish that he had back.
You talked about Derek Brown in the first half. He is one big guy, one tight end who can take it long.
Yeah.
Good speed, big size. 2nd 10. Pass to Eilers is short. Incomplete.
You know, you look at at Tony Rice, and you see him miss a couple of passes like that, and you wonder why. Well, he takes such a pounding, Jim, running the option. And I think it's very difficult for an option quarterback to have finesse as a thrower because you get beaten up so badly. You're always taking shots to the hips and to the shoulders, to the arms, to the neck. And it's real tough to get into a rhythm throwing the ball.
Now, his teammates love him for that, though, the punishment that he's able to endure. He doesn't even put on one of those yellow meshes in practice. He takes the hits, the punishment, during the week as well. 3rd and 10. Pump fake. Now throwing. And it's intercepted by Carrier. Mark Carrier. And a clip on the return. Flag thrown on Dan Owens, but Mark Carrier has returned the football for USC.
Now, what a difference a play makes. A moment ago, Mark Carrier was beaten by the tight end, Derek Brown. And that time, he makes the play, makes the interception. Yeah, they do call the clip against Southern Cal. But again, it was the pass rush that really set this interception up. Tim Ryan, number 99, is there. Junior Seau, number 55, is there. Put an awful lot of duress as he tries to get the ball to Brown. And then number 90 right there hits the back. It's the back, clearly a clip. The boy marks him all the way down to the 41-yard line.
That's one of the tight penalties. The ball would have been somewhere around the 30 of Notre Dame, but now back to the 41.
Clip left to the screen here. Again, number 90 is going to block his man, the blue jersey, right from the back. An easy call by the official.
USC takes over at its 41. Marinovich off the fingertips of Holt. Tomorrow we have regional coverage of the National Football League. Many of you will see Tampa Bay against Washington. Others will watch the Cowboys in Kansas City. Herschel in Minnesota will be playing as well tomorrow. Later you'll be seeing in 4 o'clock games. You might get your game late. It could be the Giants, San Diego coming your way. Check your local listings, but do check in with the NFL today, 12:30 Eastern time. 2nd and 10. Marinovich. He is hit by Zurich. The pass falls incomplete at the feet of Galbraith.
Again, a terrific play by Zurich. He's got one of those, metabolisms like a hummingbird. He's always kind of moving. He never is stopping. His legs are always moving. He's chasing the quarterback. Even after the ball is thrown downfield, he'll run after the receiver. The guy's an amazing player.
Said he grew up in Chicago. As a kid, he used to lift weights with 2 manhole covers welded to a bar, to a metal bar. So 2 manhole covers and use that as his weights.
Oh, kind of how you throw nickels around, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Shotgun on 3rd down. Jackson's open. He stepped out at the 39-yard line, a gain of 19.
With the safety, Pat Terrell, number 15, slipped on the turf. It was raining all week long here. But Jackson, who had run a bunch of inside routes, we talked about setting things up. Remember how many passes Jackson caught inside? He scored inside. This time he runs outside. And the top of the screen right there, Pat Terrell, number 50, slips. And he's supposed to make that play, and really his momentum carried him out of bounds. Otherwise, he goes maybe another 10 or 15 yards.
It's a 1st down inside of the 40. Nonetheless, 2 tight ends, Galbraith and Griffin. Carry by Holt, and a gain of 4.
Watching John Jackson perform so well today, Jim, we all seem to get so cynical about college football when you read what happens in places like, Florida and Oklahoma this year. But it's nice to see a guy like John Jackson who's done so well in both baseball at Southern Cal and football. He's an academic All-American, studied for his MBA, and kind of renews your faith that somewhere along the line, some of these guys are becoming good byproducts of the system.
He grew up in a college environment. His father was an assistant football coach at Illinois and then moved the family to California, where he was the USC running back coach in 76 to 1981. Flags down. Pat Harlow may have moved on the left side. John Jackson's father was an assistant coach at USC.
Under John Robinson. Yep.
At the conclusion of today's CBS Sports college football broadcast, we will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. We're talking about his diversity. John Jackson, he also was a hockey player growing up in Illinois. That was his favorite sport of all. He's excelled in football and baseball, but he says hockey's his favorite. 2nd and 12. Marinovich stepping forward, looking for Jackson, incomplete. Pass a little low.
Marinovich got a little anxious on that one as he stepped forward because it really wasn't a big rush. He could have hung back in there, but number 1 in the slot, John Jackson, he likes to work the middle. They'll put him in the slot formation, and then he has the whole center of the field to work. He was wide open, Marinovich, as he was running forward, threw the ball too low. Big down here, again, for this Notre Dame defense to keep Southern Cal from a chance of another score.
3rd and 12. We'll see the shotgun again for USC. Marinovich runs out and is hit from behind, hit in the ankles by Zurich, and that tackle may have saved big yardage because Marinovich was moving into field goal range the longer he ran.
Well, you're right. Chris Zorich, again, one of those small little plays that goes unnoticed at the end of the game. But Marinovich probably gets his team at least in field goal range if Zorich doesn't make the play.
Got a hold of him by an ankle. And since the ball is at the 40 and it's into the wind, USC will punt. Mark Preston trying to pooch it inside of the 20. And Waters makes the fair catch at the 15. 25-yard punt does back up the Irish inside of the 20. Final 3.5 minutes of the 3rd quarter. Began in Lincoln, Nebraska. Thanksgiving Day 1925, Notre Dame played Nebraska in Lincoln. The Cornhuskers won that game, and the Irish were unhappy with the curt treatment they felt their fans received. 2 weeks after that game, Notre Dame severed the series with Nebraska and added Southern Cal. And on 1st and 10 from their own 15, the Irish throw incomplete, trying to get the ball in the hands of the Rocket.
And Junior Sal again hit Tony Rice and then picked him up, gave him a pat on his back. But again, every time Tony Rice throws the ball, he is getting hit. And every time he runs the option, he is getting hit. We said at the top of the show this was going to be a game of big plays and a close game separated by several big plays. It's still going to be a 4th quarter game.
2nd down and 10. Looking in on number 12, Ricky Waters. Scored the Notre Dame 2nd touchdown. Fumble. Rice fumbled the football. Scramble for it. USC has it. Now they're going to rule that Tony Rice was down. Is there a change? No, I don't believe. I think, no, it's USC football. I saw one indication, one official pointing to the turf, but they're pointing where the ball is taken over now by the Trojans.
Let's have a look at it. This is the play that Rice ran earlier. It's a little option play, but he's going to cut it inside. The ball came out very early in the run, and then I thought Rice had recovered it there, and then it was number 54 first who had a shot at it, and then it was Carrier, number 7, who made the final recovery.
Yeah, that ball did pop out very quickly. Rice tried to dive on it, and some may have felt that Rice had it momentarily, but the ball was still jumping around. And now USC is set up from the Notre Dame 20. Zurich hits Irvin. Irvin's with a 2-yard loss. That's the 12th tackle for Zurich.
Chris Zorich is going to hurt you in the backfield. He'll stuff you at the line. He'll fight through double teams. He'll sometimes play pass coverage. But Chris Zorich helps this team win every week, believe me.
No question about that.
Man, is he having a game.
Second down and 11. Marinovich in the pocket. Going across the middle, John Jackson, diving catch at the 7. Catch is made at the 7-yard line.
Well, a lot of receivers, when they go over the middle, give you the alligator arms. You know, the short arms, they won't lay out because they're afraid they're going to get hit by the free safety. He signals that he's open. He's not afraid to get out there and dive. And again, what makes this Southern Cal team so tough is because they run the ball well. The linebackers are in a real bind. You come up and play the run, or do you drop back in coverage? And that leaves a big area there for Jackson to work.
First and goal to go for USC. Marinovich pitch to Urbans. Jackson with a block. He tried to stay on the block. Eventually, Smagala fought off of it and forced him out.
You're right. Stan Smagala, number 29, did a great job of fighting through the block of John Jackson to make the play. Otherwise, that is a score. That should have been a touchdown, but Smagala did a great job.
Ball is at the 4-yard line. Here's what you were talking about, Pat.
Look at them just fight. That's just all determination because they're both about the same size. And Smagala saved a touchdown there, believe me.
We'll call it the 3. Up. USC jumps. Like Griffin.
Yep, and that's a signal that they were going to throw the ball. Anytime a receiver knows it, he's going to get the ball thrown to him. He gets a little anxious, particularly when you're tight end. You know, you don't get the ball thrown that much to you.
You get those legs moving. Yeah. You start thinking about that touchdown dance.
Exactly. Start thinking about the high mom.
Illegal procedure, offense, repeat, second down.
And that's a big, big penalty. So now you go, instead of 2nd and 3, you're at the 8-yard line. And I think this is the toughest area of the field to put the ball in the end zone from.
Jackson split right, Wellman in a slot right. One tight end, it's Galbraith. 2nd and goal. Urbans. Hit by Jeff Alm. No gain.
Boy, did Alm do a nice job of fighting off his block because he was originally blocked but didn't stay blocked. Refused to be blocked. Threw off his man and made the play. Watch number 90. He's the man that tipped the ball earlier in this half. This time he is blocked. He fights off it and then makes the play. Otherwise, Urbans has a nice cutback lane.
Those takedown kind of a tackles. Stirring up the crowd in the end zone. Not like they needed it. 3rd and goal. Marinovich with time. Fires. Intercepted. Todd Light.
Jim, I think that ball was tipped by one of the inside linebackers, and I think it was Don Grimm. That caused the interception because Marinovich had the receiver open. Watch here. In the middle of your screen, number 36 reads Marinovich very well. Gets the hand up right there, makes the tip, and then Todd Light again comes in and makes the play. That is terrific team defense. That's about the 3rd tip they've had right there. And then Light is stepping in front of Larry Wallace, and he had him pretty well covered regardless.
He really did. From the 20, pitch to Waters. Waters with a block and has a 1st down. I'll tell you what, Grunhard pushed Coulter right out of there and cleared the way. That pass might have been intercepted anyway by Light because he had excellent position.
But here is one more look at the interception. It was set up by a pass rush as he gets hit in the chest right there by number 45 McDonald. But good coverage by Todd Light on Wallace.
1st and 10 for the Irish. Ismail running from the tailback spot. Hammered by Ernest Spears. But he picked up 6 yards. We're in the final minute of the third quarter. USC, 9th ranked in the country, leading 17-14 over Notre Dame.
Been a game of turnovers and big plays, and Todd Light has made his share of them, believe me.
That's his 6th interception on the year. Carrier had his 6th on the year earlier in this game. Larry Wallace was the intended target. 2nd down and 4. Wishbone time for Notre Dame. Pitch to Waters. And he's near the first down at the 42-yard line.
You know, Ricky Waters has been in Lou Holtz's doghouse a little bit for not being a physical runner, but that time he ran over 2 defenders to pick up the first down, and that was a tough physical run by Waters, and that's what Lou Holtz wants from him.
He said, Pat, talking about being in the doghouse, the lowest point of his life was last year, the day that USC played Notre Dame. He was not there with his Irish teammates. Again, I mentioned it earlier, he had been sent home, showing up late for a team dinner. He watched the game. It was 1 against 2. He watched the game from O'Hare, from the O'Hare Airport, Chicago. Come back now in the 89 version. Has scored a touchdown and has just picked up an Irish first down. Ismail gets the corner and into USC territory at the 48-yard line. Bumped out by Dwayne Garner. That's the end of the third quarter. We have seen all kinds of intensity and emotion to this point. We've got 15 minutes to go in South Bend. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of today's CFA game is sponsored by BASF, the spirit of innovation. Allstate, for home, auto, and life insurance. You're in good hands with Allstate. And by Anheuser-Busch, we brew our beers to be enjoyed responsibly. Please know when to say when.
That gray October sky, just perfect for football in South Bend, Indiana. You know, we had winter-like weather this week. In fact, Thursday and Friday, it snowed a total of about 8 inches. It was cold. It's starting to clear out now. However, it's still a bit brisk, and there's a chill of excitement here as we enter the fourth quarter, and Notre Dame is driving. The ball is at the USC 48-yard line, 2nd and short. 2nd and inches. Anthony Johnson leaps forward for the first down for Notre Dame.
See the shot just a moment ago with Tony Rice in the huddle with a smile on his face? Tony Rice is a guy who plays this game with a smile on his face and plays it with great passion. There it is. Again, just the eyes of a competitor.
He's only lost twice as a starter at Notre Dame. 22-2. Good reason to smile. 1st and 10, and the pitch to Waters. Run down from behind by Junior Seau. Dwayne Garner helped out as well.
Junior Seau has also played well, much like Zorich has played well for Notre Dame. Seau has played real well for Southern Cal. He has been rushing the passer. He's primarily a pass rusher, but he's done a nice job on the options.
Seau out of Oceanside, California. And limping off the field is Dan Owens.
He's a guy who's played well for him this year. 7 sacks this year.
USC signaling for a timeout now. They only had 10 men on the field. So they quickly called a timeout as Notre Dame approached the line of scrimmage. Pat, what was the largest or loudest place you played before?
Well, it was right here in 1973. Eric Barsegan's team killed us, but the crowd is right on top of you here. It's very loud.
We saw Tim Ryan a moment ago. He says the loudest crowd is at Washington State. Rice keeps and gets near the first. Mark Carrier lowered the helmet, shoulders, hit Rice at the 34. They have to measure for the first down. Let's get a report from John Dockery.
Jim, moments ago you saw Dan Owens, the defensive lineman for USC, leave the field. Preliminary report, he has a sprained knee. They expect him to come back. We'll keep you updated.
This is a game in Owens' last year, Doc. He is a senior, never beaten this Notre Dame team, and wants very much to be a part of that if it happens here today.
Now he's replaced by Gene Proget on that defensive line. Colorado winning big again today, as expected today. You see Clemson, North Carolina State.
Arizona is doing well out in the Pac-10. I'll tell you that. They're surprised a lot of teams.
Speaking of Clemson, Tony Rice grew up in South Carolina. He said, I grew up as a University of North Carolina basketball fan and a Clemson football fan. It's 3rd and inches. Anthony Johnson breaks free. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Anthony Johnson, and Notre Dame leads for the first time today. Hendrick. Extra point try is good. 21-17 Irish.
Jim, on a short yardage play, oftentimes the defense sells out. So if you can just get past the initial line of scrimmage, you have a chance for the big play. The right tight end on the right side of the screen, 3 men down from the center. Number 86, Derek Brown, crushes his man inside and opens a gaping hole for Anthony Johnson. Now, we have seen Anthony Johnson catch the ball, run the ball tough, inside, block, and here he shows some speed.
That touchdown dash has put Notre Dame back on top, 21-17 early in the final quarter. Now back on the left arm of Todd Marinovich, the hopes for USC. Trailing for the first time today. USC will have the wind at its back here in the final quarter. 13 minutes, 51 seconds left. Hendrick's kick. Wynn holds it up. Mooney picks it up. And he's down at the 24-yard line.
Jim, it is so hard to defend a wishbone fullback because he hits the line of scrimmage so quickly. And on a short yardage play, once you get past that initial line of scrimmage, you have a chance for a real big play. And that's what happened there with Anthony Johnson. This man has had a terrific ball game doing all sorts of different things, blocking, catching, and they're running.
Terrific career. That's his 30th rushing touchdown. He grew up here as an usher at the Notre Dame football games. He was an usher in that exact end zone. He would sit and dream about being the next Vegas Ferguson or Alan Pinkett, he says. Pass is complete to Jackson near the 30.
You know, it's a funny thing about college football. There's probably some little kid up in that end zone right now dreaming about being the next Anthony Johnson.
That's right.
Well, again, it's been a remarkably composed game by Todd Marinovich, but he's got a lot of work left here in this drive. He hasn't thrown the ball downfield a lot with success, so he's going to have to continue to dink the ball and be patient.
That other end zone you were looking at, Anthony Johnson's father has also been an usher here for years. Marinovich. Pass caught by Jackson. And he's down at the 42-yard line. Smagala came in on the blitz.
You are seeing some great plays today, folks. Stan Smagala, number 29, comes in on a corner blitz and nearly takes Marinovich's head off. But he gets the ball off, and he was well covered. Jackson was well covered by 47 Volcar, and then Terrell nearly kills Jackson. But it was the pressure. He hung in there. And again, a lot of young quarterbacks will get those happy feet, but not Marinovich today.
There's Smigalic, who came barreling in there on Marinovich. 1st and 10. Will keep. I'm not sure he knew where the line of scrimmage was. One time ran down that line and was thinking about pulling it back. But he picks up 5. Let's go back down to the sidelines with our man, John Dockery.
Jim, you know, sometimes on the sidelines you get a feel for what's happening in a game and a team. And right now, some of the fire, the pregame fire from USC is gone. Some of that arrogance that they showed at halftime going in and taunting Notre Dame is gone. They're not out of this, but a little of the juice is gone from the Trojans. Back to you, Jim.
2nd and 5. And Jackson has, I believe, another 1st down for USC. They'll regain that momentum if they keep picking away at this Notre Dame defense, as they have here. 3 consecutive 1st downs on this possession.
And their game plan coming into the game was to throw the ball the first 3 quarters, have those defensive linemen have to rush the passer a lot and get tired. And then when the 4th quarter came around, crunch time, to run the ball, pound the ball behind a very big offensive line.
The eyes of the Notre Dame defense waiting for the USC Trojans. Chris Zorich. 2nd down. Actually 1st down, and Marinovich runs it. Junior Bryant flips him by the ankles. Yardage stick on the sideline said 2nd down. That was only a 1st down play. The ball was at the 42-yard line. Tomorrow, don't forget to watch 12:30 Eastern time. Brent Nerve, Dick Butkus, Will McDonough with the NFL Today. That'll be followed, of course, by our regional NFL coverage. 12:30 Eastern time, NFL Today. They're going to be talking about that Bear team, Chicago Bears. A little trouble brewing over there. Yeah, Mike Ditka really unhappy with the loss last week to the Houston Oilers. An update on the earthquake in San Francisco, how it affected the 49ers. 2nd down, Marinovich. His receiver had fallen. That was Larry Wallace on the ground. And
boy, was he open too. He was very upset that he slipped as he tried to plant that foot and cut. His feet came right out from underneath him.
Michigan winning by 2 touchdowns today. A victory over Iowa. We are at Notre Dame Stadium, the hallowed grounds of the Fighting Irish, who have the nation's longest winning streak at 18 in a row. They're ranked #1. They have a 4-point lead over USC, and the Trojans face 3rd and 5 from the 42 of the Irish. Tom Marinovich sacked. The ball is loose. They're going to rule Marinovich was down. Kowalkowski. Scott Kowalkowski comes in on Marinovich. And Troy Ridgely as well. Notre Dame fumbled the opening kick. USC cashed in on a touchdown pass to Wallace. After a Ismail kick return over 50 yards, it set up this touchdown by Rice to tie it in the 1st quarter. Back came USC after a fumbled punt by the Rocket. Another touchdown pass. And then a Rodriguez field goal. It was 17-7. And now back has come the Irish with 2 touchdowns to lead it. This punt bounces into the end zone. Mark Preston hoping for a more favorable bounce inside of the 10, but it rolls in there and a touchback. Again, Rodriguez with a 29-yard field goal, 2nd quarter, and it was 17-7 USC at the half. In the 3rd quarter, Notre Dame's first possession of the 2nd half, Ricky Waters scoring on a 2-yard option run. And then Notre Dame taking the lead here at the start of the 4th quarter. Anthony Johnson, 35 yards.
Been a game of big plays offensively and defensively, and that was one of the biggest as Todd Light picked off Marinovich here in the 2nd half.
The Rocket Ismail for 5 yards. That was a big interception back there, Pat, because USC led at the point by 3. They get it in the end zone, they're up 10. They walk away scoreless after Todd Light's defensive gem.
And I tell you, college football is so much of a game of adjustments. Barry Alvarez, the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, has done a great job since halftime shutting SC out, made all the adjustments to do that.
Waters lost his footing, but still stays up and gets the first down to the 33-yard line.
Boy, is that a big play. What looks like it's going to be a negative play, a 2- or 3-yard loss, and this is all the determination of Ricky Waters. Again, so disappointed that he couldn't play against Southern Cal last year. Wanted to make the most of it this year. And again, in Lou Holtz's doghouse for not being physical. Well, this is his second very physical run today.
1st and 10. Anthony Johnson fumbled the football, and USC caught it in midair, I believe. Yes. It's Brian Tullio who recovered the opening kickoff fumble of Ismail. His second recovery today.
These fumbles are because of hard hitting. Guys aren't carrying the ball loosely. This is a matter of good defense and big hits, which you expect in this kind of game. Anthony Johnson gets hit from behind. Number 55, Sayal, hits and the ball pops up, and then the inside linebacker, Tullio, number 56, made the recovery.
Brian Tullio has recovered the football at the Notre Dame 34-yard line. 10 minutes, 20 seconds left. USC needing a touchdown to take the lead. And they fire Marinovich, Jackson to the 15. And they drag him down at the 11. 23-yard gain.
John Jackson is a senior. He has never defeated Notre Dame, and this game means more to him than just about anybody in this team. Spagala falls down, and again, there's the catch, and then it's the determination, knowing it's his last chance at Southern Cal. And then the emotion of Todd Marinovich, the freshman quarterback from Balboa, California. He is the emotional leader of this team already, even though only a freshman.
1st and 10 from the 11. Marinovich passes batted down, caught by Marinovich. That counts as a completion, Marinovich to Marinovich, but it's a loss on the play. Back to the 16-yard line. I believe it was All again who got a paw on it.
Or it may have been Devin McDonald, number 45, Jim, but I tell you, Notre Dame and Barry Alvarez, the defensive coordinator, deserves some credit. I have seen a lot of Notre Dame games over the years, and they tip more balls than anybody in college football. When they can't get to the quarterback, they put those big paws up and make some plays.
This is a game that opened with emotion. Actually began before the game even started. A war in the tunnel. And now it's a war on the field. On 2nd down, batted down again. Jeff Alm. Marinovich had enough zip on that. That ball was destined for the end zone.
When you have a quarterback getting rid of the ball as quickly as Marinovich is, you can't rush the passer. So what do you do when you get blocked? 3 guys blocking Jeff Alm, but he doesn't quit. He doesn't stop. He times it beautifully. It's a beautifully timed jump by Jeff Alm to tip his 3rd pass of the day.
9:07 left. USC trails by 4. This is 3rd and 15. They can get the first at the 1-yard line. Marinovich has his man. It's Wellman. Touchdown, USC back in front.
Jim, how many times have we said that offensive football is a matter of setting plays up? Remember how many times John Jackson came in motion and caught the little pass out there in the flat? Well, he did it this time, but then they ran the post behind him, and Wellman came wide open.
This is an important extra point to take it from 2 to 3. And Rodriguez hits it. 21 points today off turnovers for USC, and the Trojans lead it 24-21.
John Jackson in motion. Remember, again, earlier in the game, he caught 3 balls out there in the flat. The top of the screen is Wellman. He runs the post, but 3 jerseys go after Jackson, including the free safety, who should stay back there. But Wellman runs right in behind him, and a beautifully thrown ball by Marinovich.
9 minutes, 1 second left. And the freshman quarterback steers his team back downfield and back in front.
For the Jets and in college, I know the feeling Pat Terrell had. What he did that time, he bit on Jackson in motion, number 1 there. Instead of staying in the middle and watching for Wellman coming across, he went towards the flat. Wellman was open behind him in the end zone. It was Pat Terrell's responsibility. He missed it. USC scores.
And Doc, you're absolutely right, but it was set up because they threw that route to John Jackson 3 times, and then came there in the post pattern behind him.
And it's short. Billy Yulee was there in his face. The kick got away, but it was short. And are they having fun homecoming day in Corvallis, Oregon?
Gave it, and he points at him. No room for that.
Win. Dick, we talked before about Oregon State and what a victory can mean to this program. What a tremendous...
Since the pregame warm-ups, there has been finger-pointing, explosions by these teams. The emotions coming out. And tonight on CBS, we remind you, it starts with Paradise, followed by Tour of Duty, and then Saturday night with Connie Chung, the story of American hostage Terry Anderson. That's all tonight on CBS. So USC re-kicks from the 30. Rodriguez obviously staying away from the rocket, but he damages USC once again. Another penalty, and they'll have to kick from the 25.
Even though Rocket Ismail doesn't have the ball in his hands, he is affecting this game because you have to kick the ball away from him, and you get 2 penalties like that. And now Larry Smith is going to be talking to Rodriguez, and maybe now they kick it high, but any way you slice it, Notre Dame's going to get excellent field position with 9:01 left.
I tell you, I'd be very tempted to just boot it as hard as you can now, because Ismail is standing at the 30.
Yeah.
And Rodriguez has the wind at his back.
They have kicked 4 of them out of bounds. Lou Holt said, our guys believe we have the best kick return team in the country, and we are going to make big plays happen.
That's indisputable, really. You think about it.
Yep. You know, it's amazing. It's an attitude, the special teams. They start with special teams film every Sunday. It's the first thing the coaches look at are special teams. The first game plan for the next week is special teams. It's just an emphasis, and I think a philosophy and an attitude.
Wallace for USC scored the first touchdown of the game. There's also another first for the Notre Dame special teams. They are the first ones to go through the Friday night smorgasbord line. That's what they love, yeah. Right? They get first cracks at it. They get treated right, they perform right. They did it. He kicked it right over the Rockets' head. He saw it. And it's into the end zone and a touchback. Notre Dame will take it out at the 20.
What a game of point-counterpoint, Jim. Marinovich, and now it's Tony Rice's turn.
Almost just suckered the Irish into that one. They kicked 2 out of bounds, and they boot it right over his head. And Notre Dame has it at the 20. And again next week, another good one for you. Alabama, unbeaten on the year against Penn State, a team that has really surged since an opening loss against Virginia.
Alabama's been scoring points all season long. Penn State, the leading scoring defense in the country. Blair Thomas is back and healthy. It's going to be fun.
Penn State 5-1 on the year. And with 9 minutes to go, and the Irish down by 3. First and 10 from their own 20. Ismail in the backfield gets the carry and fights his way to the 28-yard line. Mark Carrier held on for life.
You know, you think of Ismail as a small guy, a kick returner. Well, he's 5'10", 175 pounds, but he is a tough runner. He will break some tackles. He was a running back in high school, as a matter of fact. Some good blocks there. Tim Ryan, number 52, made a nice block. So did Mike Brennan. And then it was the determination of Ismail to pick up 8 yards.
2nd and 2. Waters back in at the tailback. Johnson bursting forward, and I believe he has the first down. Yes, he does at the 31-yard line.
This is a lineman's game from here on in, Jim. 8 minutes, 18 seconds left in the 4th quarter. It's going to be offensive linemen and defensive linemen that are going to win and lose this football game. Yes, somebody's going to come up with a big play, but it's one of those linemen that are going to set it up.
One of the defensive linemen back in there for USC is Dan Owens. He has been hobbled here in the second half. He's back in the game. At nose tackle. 1st and 10 for Notre Dame. Rice has it. And he picks up 6. We are at Notre Dame Stadium. USC and Notre Dame meeting for the 61st time. You could say through the years the greatest national rivalry in all of college football. Jim Nance along with Pat Hayden and John Dockery. 9th-ranked Southern Cal had the edge early, led by 10 at halftime. Back came Notre Dame to take the lead in this quarter. But once challenged, USC drives back and has regained the lead here in the game's final 7 minutes. On the line, the defending national champions with an 18-game winning streak and 6 straight years victories against the Trojans. Pat, some of these seniors at USC do not want to end their career having never beaten Notre Dame.
Well, it's such an important game for Southern Cal players. You have 2 traditional rivals, but in UCLA and Notre Dame, but you don't want to graduate from that school having never beaten the Fighting Irish. The game is just so special, I think, particular for the seniors. Talking to guys like Marinovich, the younger players on the team, they said they want to send their seniors off with a win the last time around. This has been a game very much of big plays. Todd Marinovich, as a freshman quarterback, has played phenomenally well. But it's been a point-counterpoint. Every time USC has come up with a big play, Notre Dame has matched them.
Now, Notre Dame certainly has upped the rushing total in the second half. And how about Lou Holtz? Oh, he's just run wild in the second half.
Wow, there's my Heisman vote.
Yeah. He had only 500 in the first half. This is yards pacing in the game today. Holtz had around 500 yards just before the intermission. He's really worked it up, got his ground game going just like his team here in the second half.
He's always been noted as a 4th quarter guy.
Here's a big 3rd down play for him. 3rd and inches. Out of this wishbone, Johnson ran for the touchdown. He gets the carry again, same play, same spot. No touchdown, but he has the first down.
But do you see how low he runs, Jim? There is no way that you're going to stop Anthony Johnson for a loss. He's 6 feet, 220 pounds, and runs low to the ground. He is always moving forward, always gaining yards. I don't think I've ever seen him be tackled for a loss.
He's one of the guys that deserves to break a long one like the one he had, because he gets so many of the tough yards inside, and every once in a while to get rewarded with a long gainer. 1st and 10, Rice now gets away and is down and out of bounds by Ernest Spears.
Well, you know, again, you talked about great players playing well in big games. Anthony Johnson there saved Tony Rice from being sacked. He was about to get sacked from the outside, but Johnson threw a key block that allowed Rice to escape out of the pocket.
That's another thing Rice gives you. Great escapability. He leads this team in rushing. Keep wondering if he'll break one like he did in the '88 clash. He ran 65 yards in that one at the Coliseum for a touchdown to Tony Rice. 2nd down and 7. Fakes in the line, and he's looking long. He's got the rocket at the 30. Caught at the 15-yard line. Cleveland Colbert got a hand on him to stop him.
Cover by Notre Dame as they line Ismail up in the backfield. Ordinary the flanker. He's at the right halfback position there. The play action fake freezes people inside, and Ismail, number 25, sneaks out of the backfield. And when the game is on the line, a well-thrown ball there by Rice to Ismail. Well, he can beat you as a punt returner, as a kick returner, as a runner, and as a pass receiver out of the backfield.
40 yards on the play. 1st and 10 from the 15 with 5:30 left. And trailing by 3. Rice peeps inside of the 10, and he will score. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Will attempt the extra point. Good from the left side. Inside left. And it's a 4-point lead for Notre Dame.
Tony Rice's last game against Southern Cal, and he has responded beautifully. Every time he has been challenged, Jim, in this game, he has responded. Marinovich leads his team for a score, and Rice comes right back. And take a look at the option play. And this is what makes Tony Rice so dangerous. A little fake here with his hands. He fakes like he's going to pitch it. Freezes a couple of defenders. Right there. A couple guys went right by him. Then he cuts back. Has the speed to do that. And then determination and power as he breaks 1 tackle. 2 tackles. And then the determination. That is what college football is about.
Smith helplessly watching as the Rocket actually smiling, oddly enough.
Well, I think you have to respect a guy like that, Jim. You have to respect that Tony Rice, as much as you hate to see him do that to you. You respect great players.
Sensed he was going to break one. That's his 2nd touchdown of the day. And he also had that enormous 4th down effort, 4th and 3 in the 3rd quarter, to set up the touchdown by Waters.
Still plenty of time for Todd Marinovich. 5:18 remaining. USC has 2 timeouts left.
Hendrick does not get it airborne. Mooney scoops it up and runs to the 37. Good field position to start for the Trojans. Tomorrow, stay with us on CBS, 12:30 Eastern Time, the NFL Today. Be hearing about the 49ers and kind of a week it was in San Francisco through their eyes. In trouble in Bearland, 12:30 Eastern on CBS.
And if you're Todd Marinovich here, you still must remain patient as he's been all game long. He's in the shotgun formation. They're going to win it with his left arm throwing the football.
He's got 3 receivers. Scott is the extra man. Marinovich long across the middle. Jackson inside of the 40 at the 37-yard line. Right over a leaping Ned Bolcar. That pass was perfect.
They're going with the no-huddle offense, trying to prevent the substitutions and the nickel defense by Notre Dame. Beautiful touch by Marinovich and terrific protection, Jim. Watch the protection that he got. Got all day to get rid of the ball.
Picked up 26 yards, now going short to Irvins. And he's tackled at the 32. Andre Jones on the tackle.
Marinovich plays really with remarkable nonchalance. He's a guy who grew up in Southern California, played in a lot of big high school games, had a storied high school career, was recruited by virtually everyone across the country. And he has done an absolutely sensational job in his first year.
Well, he has set the school record today for both pass attempts and completions. He's also thrown 3 touchdowns. Second down pass play to Wellman. Another first down for USC at the 23-yard line. A gain of 10.
Remember when Gary Wellman ran the post route, Jim, for the touchdown? Well, this time it's the same route. Jackson's in motion. He runs to the flat. Wellman fakes the post, then runs the curl route. So we've seen 3 different plays from Wellman off of that same action. It looks the same, but it really isn't. You know, Jim, talking about Marinovich, I think he will be, when he finishes at USC, the quarterback that everyone else is measured by at Southern Cal.
You mean no more Pat Hayden?
Oh, yeah. They forgot me a long time ago.
He is outstanding, and he has shown what kind of talent we'll see for 3 more years. And the completion to Galbraith gets the football to the 15.
If you're Larry Smith, you're thinking that it's a 4-point game, so you must get the ball into the end zone. This may be the last time that you have the ball. So you're in the 4-down zone. You have 4. You're not going to even think about a field goal. You're going to go for the first down every time you have to.
Now it's second down. Call it about 2. Just short of 2 yards. Needs to get to the 13. Holt runs for it and has the first down as we near the 3-minute mark. Pat, you said it. USC has 2 timeouts. They had to use one in the 3rd quarter on a mix-up on the punt.
Jim, I think for a passing team, which USC has been this game, it is easier to score from the 12 or 13-yard line where they are now than if they move the ball inside the 5-yard line, because you have a lot more room to operate.
And a new set of downs to operate with. Irvin's the lone back. It's Wallace to the right. And Marinovich keeps it and gets to the 7. Tackled by Ned Bolkar. Guess you get closer to that end zone, and that field gets smaller. And now we'll really see what you're talking about here for USC with the ball at the 7-yard line.
We talked about Tony Rice being a physical player, and Todd Marinovich has impressed me with how physical he has been. Ordinarily, you don't think of the quarterback position of being like that, but both these quarterbacks have played the position with great physicalness and force today.
Second down and 5. Running down the line, now looking to throw, and it's over everyone's head. John Jackson was in that corner. They actually had 2 receivers down there, Jackson and Wellman. Was that a mistake?
No, it may have been a mistake, but Marinovich did the right thing in getting rid of the ball and out of the end zone. Don't force that ball. He's had the 3 interceptions. And now for Larry Smith, he is faced with a 3rd and 5. Now he's got to be thinking, I have 2 downs to get that 5 yards. Do I have a better chance of getting it, throwing the football, or running maybe Irvins or Holt inside? Do I take 2 runs or 2 passes?
Notre Dame possesses not only that 18-game win streak, the longest in the nation, but they have beaten USC the last 6 years, the longest win streak in this series history. USC trying to go in for the win. And on 3rd down, in great time, Marinovich throws, and it's incomplete, out of bounds. Wallace, he did not have a foot down. He caught it, but he did not get the foot down. You need 1 in college football.
Good coverage by the secondary. The ball was held for a long time as Marinovich tried to wait for somebody to come open. He finally found Wallace, but clearly he did not come down with a foot down. So now you're faced with a 4th and 5, and you have to think Southern Cal should call a timeout here, I would guess, to think about it.
Well, Pat, they've also got to consider if they don't get it, they would have Notre Dame backed up and could stop the clock 2 times.
And they might use those and force a punt.
So 4th and 5. Marinovich. Incomplete. That football was almost intercepted. It's actually a break, perhaps, for USC that it wasn't intercepted, because now Notre Dame takes over at the 7 instead of bringing it out to the 20 on a touchback.
You're absolutely right, but this defense of Barry Alvarez, the coordinator, rises to responsibility. First it was pressure that made Marinovich give her the ball a little bit before he wanted to, but four blue jerseys around Joel Scott. A game of emotion and the reaction of Todd Marinovich.
Has been a day of emotions in South Bend, and it's not over yet.
Oh yeah, you're right.
A minute and 40 seconds left. Again, Pat,
2 timeouts.
Football is at the 7.
That's exactly right.
An interception. The ball could have been brought out to the 20. If they're falling down, they would not have run it out.
So now Southern Cal has to stuff them quickly, use their timeouts, and force a punt, get one more shot.
Handoff, just for a yard gain, goes Ricky Waters, and there's the timeout, promptly called by Southern Cal. 1 timeout left. USC trying to get the football back, trailing by 4 against Southern Cal. Here was a 4th down play, Pat, for USC moments ago, trying to go in for the lead.
And they were trying to run a crossing route, expecting the man-for-man coverage, but D1 Francisco, the safety, really played like a zone and made the reaction. Read the eyes of Marinovich and made the play.
Look at the senior on the USC side, Scott Galbraith, realizing he may not get a chance to get the football back and beat Notre Dame once in his career before he's finished. 2nd down, the Rocket. Ismail for only 2, and the last timeout is utilized by USC. Freshman quarterback Marinovich looks to the clock, sees the 1:31 on display, and it comes now to a 3rd down play for Notre Dame. If they don't get it, they'll have to punt out of their own end zone.
A year ago, Tony Rice threw the ball out of the end zone for a big play to Rocket Ismail. But what Southern Cal must do here is prevent the 1st down, and then Larry Smith is presented with a dilemma. Do you go for the block or the return? In his career, Larry Smith has always gone for the block. He's had a remarkable record. His teams have had a remarkable record of blocking punts at Arizona and at Southern Cal.
Johnny Jackson has had a record-setting day for catches by a USC receiver. Are you suggesting that Notre Dame's going to throw here out of the end zone?
They did it a year ago with great success at this moment. Now, with a timeout, if you're a defensive backfield coach, Bobby April of Southern California is telling Mark Carrier, his safety, at least to stay deep.
First, you talk about throwing out of your own end zone for Notre Dame. It's shades of Tom Clements against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. For Coach Ara Parsegan. Third down and 9. Notre Dame from its own 9. Running the wishbone. Rice won't get the 1st down. Notre Dame will punt.
Now, USC, we talked to their people yesterday. They felt they could block a punt. But when you have a hot quarterback like Marinovich, you don't want to risk roughing the kicker.
Hey, the wind has subsided substantially here in the last hour. It's just a mere zephyr up there. But still, Notre Dame kicks into that mild breeze. Hendrick, a freshman punter, standing at the goal line. Run hard, will snap it back. Put a little pressure. And a good kick. Wallace on the return. He's in the Notre Dame territory at the 48-yard line. 42 seconds left for the Trojans. And no timeouts remaining.
Remember, Southern Cal has a no-huddle offense, which is part of their regular scheme. This is not something new for them. They did this in the first half, remember. But with no timeouts, they have to make sure that the receivers get out of bounds after the catch.
Now, 2 college football classic teams coming down to the final seconds in South Bend.
be a penalty.
That's got to be. It is. It's grounding. Kowalkowski was in on the quarterback. And there was no receiver in the area.
Kowalkowski has really come on this second half to put pressure on Marinovich. He is their rush end, number 37. Marinovich ducks outside because Zorich showed quickly, and then it was Kowalkowski who made the play, and an easy call back there for the referee.
That's a loss of down. And they spot the ball at the 34-yard line. Second down and 29. John Jackson in the middle of the field, and the clock will run.
Notre Dame has given away the middle of the field and just protecting the boundaries.
Southern Cal inside of 20 seconds. Third down and 17. Low snap on the shotgun. Marinovich now is hit as he throws it. Hit by Kowalkowski.
He may have hurt his arm.
The incompletion stops the clock for one last play.
Well, this has been a game of determination and guys fighting and scratching to help their teams win. But Scott Kowalkowski, on the last two plays, has done a remarkable job of getting close to the quarterback.
And he did get up, looked as though his left shoulder had taken a pretty good whack. Notre Dame trying to finalize its gut check in the second half. Last play of the game. And Marinovich throws it up. Incomplete. The Irish win. Seven straight years, Notre Dame over Southern Cal. The win streak's at 19 as we go to John Dockery.
Yes, Coach, you talked about a gut check at the half. You seem to have gotten it.
We got one and we bounced back, but I got to give Southern Cal all the credit in the world. They played absolutely super game. I can't say enough. We had 5 turnovers. It was just a great classic game. We have great respect for Southern Cal.
You know, Lou, you were talking about the character of this team also. What did you find out today?
Well, we play well. We make some mistakes. We're not real pretty, but we play like Notre Dame should play.
Can you take a sigh of relief and smile after this great victory?
No, I really can't. I know how Southern Cal feels. I have too much respect for them because they're a class operation. I'm very proud of our team, but I can be very proud of Southern Cal as well.
19 straight. Congratulations, Coach. Jim Nance and Pat Hayden, back to you.
All right, Doc, and a salute to the student body. And they raise their helmets in honor of the students who helped cheer them to victory. They cheer from that end zone that provided the game-winning touchdown by Tony Rice. Rice dashing in from 15 yards out as the #1 ranked Notre Dame Irish extend their winning streak to 19 in a row.